to This Week Tonight with co-host Jeff Hicks, the world's classiest bullshitter. And now, your host, the lady who wears the pants when she goes on rants, the trip with the wild hair flip, Cassie Milestone!
All right, and thank you, Sean Firefire. Let's go Big Boar or go home for making that amazing introduction. And here we are tonight, this week, tonight even. It's me, it's Jeff. It's me, that's Jeff.
And it's a whole new week.
It's a whole new week. Wow.
Yay, right?
Oh, wow.
We survived another one.
We did. It's weird. They're all blending together. It's all just like, I'm thinking about things like, I was supposed to do that like yesterday. No, I was supposed to do that like 3 weeks ago. Whoops. So a lot of
we
stuff
had that
like
discussion today. What day is it?
What
You're
day
like, I thought
is
it was
it?
Thursday for a minute.
Like when I woke up, I thought it was Thursday. Then I remembered it's Monday, which is much lesser than Thursday because Thursday right now is the beginning of our weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Once we get to our streams and whatnot, and Monday is just Monday. All righty, Kevin Riggs, thank you very much. Already got us a super chat, a $20 super, €20 super chat, I should say. So thank you, Kevin Riggs, wherever you are with that wonderful. Is that Trump Exotic? That's Trump Exotic, isn't it? With that wonderful Trump Exotic. Freaking thumbnail. That was it was a doctored tweet, but I wish it was a real one. Did you see that one? It was a pretend Trump tweet saying it was the Trump Exotic. It was like whoever made this is getting deported.
I did see that one,
fucking loved it. Anyway, thank you for the super chat. It says take vitamin C, D, and zinc. Please watch Computing Forever's interview with Professor Dolores Cahill.
I already subscribed to that channel.
I don't know Computing Forever so well.
Dave Cullen, I believe is his name.
Mm-hmm. He's got an interview up with the professor, so we'll take a screenshot of that so I don't forget to do that later. But these are good ideas. Also taking of the vitamins, all things that help boost your immune system. And now they're saying research shows that good quantities of vitamin D might make a difference between living or dying.
Did you just call it your immune system?
Your immune system. Mm-hmm.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
And whatchamacallit. Bryce Killinger, i.e. long time no watch. Well, thank you for being here. And Zachara and Nathaniel Cadogan is here. We always love to see him. I used to be my number one in the chat most nights. The Chris Jackson show is here, is asking about timelines for the show, which I think is another great question. Some mixed feelings from people. Coley77 is not pleased about Boba Fett. Action figure expert is in the house. Beth Degoo. Jesse's on time. What sorcery is this? Well, if you notice, Jeff ended to stream early, so we didn't have that couple minutes of overlap, a changeover. I was able to get set up and boom, go. It's Monday, People are tired on Mondays. They don't always want to stream their full hours and a half, or they're just too excited to get to talking about Boba Fett. They
honestly, it was the latter. I have the energy to go. I
know you do.
I was like, I want to talk about Marvel, but to debate Boba Fett. Because remember, my show started out, my podcast started out as an homage to movie fights. Now, sometimes they were not the most, they were sometimes not the best things. Anyway, we did a great pop culture debate. And it is a callback to that. So now we get to do it again because I missed that show. I would love to do a thing where we get people from the Fandom Menace to come in.
Oh, we should.
In each show, like on the podcast, and to be like, all right, this week Gary versus Jeremy, this week Ethan versus Jesse.
So basically, what Andy's doing with Nerd Wars on Popcorn Planet.
I guess so. That's a good plug.
Yeah,
good Fandom Menace,
of course. But anyway, if you like that kind of stuff, though, that's Andy's trying to reclaim movie fights by doing Nerd Wars over on Popcorn Planet every Thursday. I know they've changed some stuff up now because coronavirus. I've been doing some fun things. I missed out on a great chance to go on the other week because I just wasn't feeling great. It was a fun topic too. They do. I've always had a blast over on Andy's channel. So
he tells me I can go on anytime I want, but he only streams the nights I am committed to High Council and World Class.
One of these days, pick another night to reschedule your life around. Eventually, reschedule your life around that. But yes, Kevin Riggs, but that's a good point. Vitamin D, guys, you're still allowed to go outside, try to grab some sunshine. It is the best, hands down. Even outside of coronavirus time, vitamin D is crucially important in mood stabilization. And the absolute best way that your body, hands down, gets its vitamin C is from the sun. natural sources like food sources are more efficient than supplement sources. But the sun is far more efficient than all of the above. So if you want to help it stabilize your mood, keep that immune system bolstered and not get like rickets. I think rickets is caused by vitamin D deficiency or something, some random disease.
The Nick Ricketts.
And so, go outside, grab some sun, and thank you, Kevin Riggs, for starting the stream off the right way. And we also got Anthony Scioli, says I finally got my revenge on CJ from Animal Crossing. Huzzah! Good for you, Anthony Scioli, with that ever unsettling thumbnail.
Can I just compliment somebody who has a screen name called Zakarot, which is I guess it's a portmanteau of Zack and Kakarot from Dragon Ball Z. So I just thought that was cool.
Hail Zakarot. Raging Rhino says, did you see the F Naughty Dog video? Thank you for your vid. We did, yes. I threw it on. Super fun. Love the production style on it. That's a great. You know what? Let me pull that up. I know I have the link still where you sent it over to me. Raging Rhino grabbed a video clip from us last week, and super cool. Yeah, finally got that. We got to see that finished product. He took way less time getting this out than I did with my Blame Carol Baskin video, so I didn't have to wait too long on that turnaround. But let's pull that up here. Boom. Matthew Gaudet says, maybe I'll give another shot, but the Filoni directed episode really put me off from watching the rest. Which was the Filoni directed
I was
one?
actually about to pull up
I
the
couldn't remember. I know he
now.
wrote some of them too, or at least he wrote at least one episode too. I know Bob Ross.
Can I just show the audience this real quick? Folks, I have a weird sense of humor, and I showed this to Jesse earlier, but this cookie makes me laugh.
Makes me laugh too.
Okay, that's it. Anyway, back to work, actually.
Let's see how many guys. If you're just joining us, make sure you do press the like button. We have far more watching than we have oppressions, and we don't like to live that way. It is. And I'm still making a stupid face because it's the law. If you pause in my videos, I'm always making a stupid face. It snowed there today. Holy shit, in a disguise. It was beautiful here today. It was like 70s. We don't even have the AC on. It's glorious.
We didn't even go outside.
We didn't go outside. We did go outside yesterday, though. We went swimming. It was beautiful.
We went swimming twice this weekend.
We did. It was, I think, a better swimming day on Friday because it was a little warmer, but we still enjoyed it.
Was better.
We really enjoyed it yesterday, even though we were not in it as long.
Okay, episodes. Here we go. So Dave, he said he tried to get
the first one.
Dave Filoni directed the first one.
That's what I thought. I was like,
Yeah.
I thought Filoni directed the first one, but which one did he write? Can you see?
He also directed the fifth one.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's the one that I because did he write the fifth one too?
Yeah. That was the Mos Eisley one. That was a lesser episode.
The Mos Eisley one. It definitely showed some of the. I feel like I enjoyed the episode, but it definitely showed some of the. Showed that Filoni has some of those predilections that are rampant at Disney with like obsessively rubbing member berries down your throat and not giving you something new. That was a little too heavy-handed with the Han Solo-esque character, even though I appreciated that he suffered a different fate. So.
I thought episode 6, The Prisoner, was the best one.
That was probably my favorite one because I think that one also. I always think it's fun when you sort of play with genre a little bit because that episode kind of that like. Sort of that break 'em out kind of style, like heist, almost like a heist episode. Yeah. Set, really nicely with a very heist style. A lot of classic heist tropes set very comfortably in a more meandering plot-based genre.
If that was a Boba Fett movie, it should have been that premise, like it was a Dirty Dozen or Magnificent Seven type of thing.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want that to be the conclusion. I would want that to be like the first act or something.
Oh no,
the first half of him, getting wrangled in to get the old team back together and bust out that guy who turns out to become exactly the.
But I would want a Boba Fett movie to be fairly violent.
I definitely would. I would expect nothing less. And that's what I think. I think the Mandalorian, the show, at points did a really good job of capturing what I want from Boba Fett, which is a Mandalorian fucking shit up, not doing a lot of talking.
He has a little more. Well, I don't know if we should start talking about that now, but he definitely has a softer side that Boba Fett doesn't, and I like that more though because it also shows how ruthless he is.
Yeah.
So there's more. There's a gradation to his character instead of this. Yeah,
because I think you can build, and it's maybe not even that like he has too much of a soft side, but that we saw too much of it too soon. I mean, you're tipped off to his soft side episode 1 when he doesn't kill Baby Yoda.
He puts his hand out or whatever to it.
Yeah. And so you immediately see that, which is fine for character development, but I think that I would have preferred in this case the trope of like the harder exterior that takes longer to crack, and it takes like those moments of softness are bigger deals and they happen fewer and further between. And I think that's what Boba Fett says to me. So this is a good preamble. Read these super chats. I think this is a good preamble to actually getting into the crux of the debate. All right, Price is Right Review. Thank you so much for the super chat. Wishful thinking, if Disney actually went by the EU, it would be so perfect if Kyle Katarn made an appearance since he was a former bounty hunter, also before becoming Luke Skywalker's Jedi Battlemaster. I'm not super familiar. I know I've heard Kyle Katarn the name before. I'm not super familiar with a ton of the EU, especially post-trilogy.
He's in one of the video games too that we talked about. I know you know him.
Because realistically, I've heard of it. I know a lot about the lore and like what's supposed to happen post-trilogy. Realistically, though, I'm a big happily ever after kind of person. So once I get my happily ever after, I don't always want to know what's next, you know?
Return of the Jedi.
I like the epilogues in the case of like a Harry Potter, where happily ever after, we're 18. Great. What happens when you're adults? I don't really need the minutia in between and the fights you and whoever had before you got married and shit like that. You know, that's why the ending of like How I Met Your Mother pissed me off so much. I'm like, I got my happily ever after. Stop. You're fucking this up. So that's one of the reasons I don't delve too much into the post-trilogy. I do really appreciate some of the things. Like, I think Jaina Solo, I fucking love that character. I think she's brilliant on everything I want from, like, that tough, badass female Star Wars character. Everything we didn't get. She's like the antithesis of Rey. You know, she's strong, she's capable without being a Mary Sue, without having things handed to her. She has struggles, she has hardships. She has a realistic story that I'm really invested in. Yeah, but in terms of the actual stories, I don't follow them super assiduously because
Disney, Kyle Katarn would just be another white guy.
True, that is true. They'd have to race swap him or something. Now I could see them. It seems that even for the bigger Star Wars fans like Favreau, who's obviously spearheading this project, I didn't put anything in my hair and it shows. Damn it! I just hate the way my hair looks tonight. Sorry if there's extra fluffing. I really don't like the way it looks tonight. Yeah. Whatchamacallit.
Candy bar.
I was reading the chats, reading blah, Omer saying, hope I leave this up. Well, I forgot to pull my... Typically, I've been pulling streams down a week after they've been out, like over the weekend, so I'm going to pull down last week's. But I am going to start a secondary channel where I archive all this stuff, so you will be able to go back and watch all my live streams over there.
I have to, due to the algorithm being in my favor, I have to just delist all my live streams instantly. But it's worked. That's fine. I hate to do it, but I'll leave people a link. So
it's once I start getting my archive channel up, I'll start doing that. But it's unclear how much of my older streams I will put up there because I don't want to have to sit through and figure out which ones are the ones where I was a drunk idiot and which ones are good ones. So you know those might just be lost unless you have saved the link. They're all still unlisted as unlisted. So if you did have the link, they're there. But what are we? In a disguise is being bothered. This bothers me too. In a disguise, I feel your pain. I just don't always get to it.
Well, it says Dick's the blind. That's why I was like, I'm not putting anything on camera.
Fixed. But anyway, I think so far what we've seen from Disney is even with the purists, they tend to more. They'll take the idea of a character, not the actual character, not someone from the EU like a Kyle Katarn who's a more minor character people don't know as well. I mean, even the bigger ones like Darth Revan's is about as well known as they can. They pulled some design choices for Kylo Ren and were like, oh, there you go, ta-da! So
nothing in Star Wars is original. It's all an amalgamation.
So I can easily see them pulling Kyle Katarn's character or his plot purpose and plugging it into the Mandalorian, though I wouldn't hold my breath for the actual character name. So, but yeah, good chat. Price review. Got a lot of rambling out of me on that one. Sir Roadhouse Roundhead says, do either of you watch Rick and Morty? I like how last night's episode referenced Star Wars. Ooh, and now no one has remorse after blowing up ships. I have seen most of the first couple seasons.
The first 3. I don't watch the new season.
I haven't watched the new stuff. I do really enjoy Rick and Morty, but for a while when I discovered edibles, full disclosure about Jesse, for a while when I discovered edibles, I used to just watch it high a lot, and it became like my high show, but then I stopped doing edibles a lot because I was like, this is fun, but munchies. And so I haven't watched in a while because I'm like, is this going to be as funny if I'm not high? But
it's a good show.
It's definitely a good show.
It's a good show, but I think a lot of stuff falls in line like when I'm overly exposed to something. Like if I can find something I found it on my own, I enjoy it. But when people want to quote wubba lubba dub dub at me, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. Like it's funny,
too much.
But it's too much. Don't.
Yeah. What's funny about you because you'll go out and seek it out yourself and see it and like it, but it's just like the second someone tries to put it on you, you're like, no, which is cute. That's one, though, if we ever did decide to go grab some edibles and have a night, we party down a little bit. Hey, it's legal. Maybe we'll throw on a Rick and Morty and try it high.
Let's wait till season 4 comes out, so it'll all be new shit. I don't really want to watch.
Okay.
Like, I like it, but not enough to ever go back and watch it again. It doesn't have
That's
like
fine.
a King of the
Well,
Hill.
I gotta catch up at
rewatch
some
quality.
point.
Well, we
so-
can start with what you haven't seen.
There you go.
It'll only be fair. I mean, look what you're doing with Supernatural and me.
It's true. Ninja Lawyer Steve says, would you rather your celebrity couple name be Hickstone or Mile Hicks? Well, we decided on Jeff C. Hickstone a while ago, actually. So Jeff C. Hickstone. So Hickstone it is. We even joked about just like having that be our children's actual last name. It's a thought. It's on the table.
Just legally change our name to Hickstone.
To Hickstone.
They're the exact same name. They're like, Jeff C. What? They'll say what to everything.
What? We're the same person. We don't need
really fun. We look nothing alike, but I guess we're the same.
One mind, one brain, two bodies. Wouldn't that be weird if we were the same consciousness
I would hate that.
with two bodies?
It would suck because we wouldn't even be a couple anymore.
Think
We'd
how
just be
great sex would be.
It's already great.
Would he just fall?
Yes.
Good. Where'd he fall from?
He jumped and fell.
What a loser.
Look at him.
He's like, blah, blah, blah. Cover him up. I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
Come on, you bastard.
All right, Madeline says, what's the verdict on Boba? I'm fine with him being season 2 in a small role. I wonder if they'll ever introduce Thrawn or even a hint of him in seasons 2 or 3. Not going to hold my breath for Thrawn just because this is going to be in the same universe as the sequels, and I feel like Thrawn would have been was too big of a deal. I would not want him to. I wouldn't want him to jump in as just a Mandalorian thing and then not have any influence on the... you didn't put him in the sequels. I feel like he's too big of a deal. Just pop him in Mandalorian and pop him back out again within a few years.
I agree 100%. The only way I'd be okay with it if they're like, hey, we're going to make the Thrawn trilogy as a CGI hybrid movie or some shit like that. And they're like, hey, more Han Solo and Princess Leia.
Yeah, if they wanted to get really exploratory in those in-between years, I could possibly get it. So we haven't actually started the proper debate. So no verdict yet, Madeline. You haven't missed a verdict yet. We actually haven't even announced our sides. All right, Jeff. Will you be arguing for or against Boba Fett in season 2 tonight?
Surprisingly, I'm going to argue against Boba Fett, even though he registers my top 5 favorite Star Wars character.
He definitely makes my top 5 list, but I think he might even be my number 2.
Is it wrong that I always put Chewbacca with Han Solo? So if they're like, you need to name your favorite 2, I can't separate them because they shouldn't be separated. So I just say Chewbacca. Even though he's not technically my second favorite
realistically,
character.
I love Chewbacca. I wouldn't love Chewbacca without Han. I think
you mean like the sequel trilogy?
Exactly. Because that's the thing is like they don't do anything useful with them in that too. That character, that buddy dynamic, which they did not realize was the value of this character, having this buddy dynamic with him and Chewie really enhanced both of their characters.
I don't even think Han's great without Chewbacca.
I think Han is better with Chewbacca
because in the moments we see him without. Realistically, like Han Solo and Chewbacca don't do a ton together in Empire. They fly the ship, but all the moments are kind of Leia and Han.
Yeah.
But I think they work great together in A New Hope, especially on the Death Star. Because what do you do with this guy? Well, we're going to act like he's a captured prisoner, and we're going to just kind of brush him along. But no, they really... And I don't like to bring it into the whole bromance thing because people do it as a joke. But as like a partner dynamic, I don't think of... They're like the buddy cops before buddy cops were a thing.
They were.
And they're perfect. There's no other like duo in any sci-fi that matches that.
Well, they play that really good, funny guy, straight man kind of in a way. Like Chewie's kind of the straight man and Han gets to be the funny guy with the translations and the, the Wookiee human, the Wookiee human relations and stuff like that.
Is it not a missed opportunity, though, that there should be a Star Wars joke where Chewie just keeps yelling? He's like, that's actually not what he's saying. Like Han just misinterprets it as a joke.
That would be a funny... pull like a Doctor Who, like that was the parking brake, but like actually this, or just even to find out, I would do as like a little comic thing. It's just to find out one specific word that he's been like vastly mistranslating the whole time. And like every time he thinks he's been saying like, I love you, man, he's actually been saying, go fuck yourself. I hate my, like,
I feel like Han Solo would be like, go fuck yourself too, Chewbacca.
Right.
Chewie.
They're like Philadelphians. All right. So I am going to argue for the pro Boba Fett side. So Jeff is taking the stance that Boba Fett has no place in the sequel, in the second season of The Mandalorian. I'm arguing that he does have a place.
First,
all right, opening statement. Time for the opening statements. All right, so realistically, it's one of those things. It's like I'm going to go with the smoking gun. We talked about Chekhov's gun. I've mentioned that sometimes on your channel or my channel, whatever it was. Chekhov's gun. How you can't drop a gun. You don't write the gun into the scene. The gun is not sitting on a table unless it gets fired at some point, unless it gets used. And I think once just because the only point of reference The only point of reference the majority of Star Wars fans have for a Mandalorian is Boba Fett. Zoe B's giving us a Law and Order dun dun dun, or dun dun rather. Is that annoying?
I heard it in my head. I don't know how to.
Verbalize it. It's the Law and Order sound.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. The second they stuck a Mandalorian's face all over this show and called it The Mandalorian, made it about a Mandalorian, Boba Fett became Chekhov's gun, I think that you are just... There's going to be something less than satisfying if we go through all of this exploration, because you also have the family. Not everyone's gung-ho about Boba Fett. Some people think he's overrated. Some people think we really don't get enough about him to care in this. I think that's all part of it. You know, we all love the mystery. Every girl loves a mystery guy that you don't know things about. That's Boba Fett. He caught all of our hearts. He captured our hearts as the mystery guy, whose backstory could be anything, and that's why he's exciting. So ever since the introduction of this character, there's been a portion of the fan base clamoring to know more about Boba Fett, to hear more about him, to experience more about him. And there have been so many teases along the way. I mean, there was talk about doing the Boba Fett spinoff as soon as that was one of the first things in conversation when Disney bought the property. You know, what if we get a Boba Fett movie? It was a big first thing. That would be a great, easy one to do. Because this was before, because when they first bought it, it wasn't necessarily we're rebooting the trilogy. It was just you knew we were going to get more Star Wars. And that was even one of the first floated things of, hey, like, you don't have to reboot the trilogy, bring back the trilogy or anything like that. This is a story people want told. And
to be fair, they were about to publicly announce it. And I think the guy was at Comic-Con, Josh Trank, and they pulled it the 0 hour not to do it. But he was there to make a presentation. Anyway, this is your opening statement. I just want to point
Thank you. And then it was back in the fold after The Force Awakens when they announced Solo and how they want to explore these spinoffs. And Boba Fett was on the docket for something they were going to explore after the obviously prematurely presupposed success of Solo. Yeah, let's see. We all know how well that one turned out. # more profitable than Solo. Literally everything. Anything that has made money. More. If you have panhandled ever and someone gave you a cent, you are more profitable than Solo, a Star Wars story. So I think you just have this massive need that hasn't been satisfied, that I think would be wrong not to satisfy for those who want it. There is, however, a way to satisfy it and a way to not. That said, I do think we would be remiss. I think Lucas would be remiss not to give us natural Boba Fett after really what feels like teasing it for so long. But I don't think he should be the Mando's new buddy or pulling focus or really someone who holds a lot of screen time. You can look at the first season. Werner Herzog's character held a lot of weight, held a lot of gravitas. I wanted him to actually have more screen time because I love Werner Herzog. But he's not there a lot. His specter is present. His power is present. But I think they actually did an injustice to him by yanking out from under him with what's his butt at the end. Moff Gideon at the end.
That's why I don't like the closer of Mandalorian's disappointment.
No, I wanted Werner actually to live on for long. I wanted him to be the main adversary, the Moff Gideon.
He fits the traditional Imperial officer role.
He
would be of the right age. I feel like Moff Gideon was just kind of like there in the battle.
Feels like too much of this upstart.
Yeah. We're past that.
And that's something it's the Darth Vader versus the Kylo Ren. The whiny, angsty teen with too much power waving his force jizz around is not as scary as the hardened man of principle. Because you got that sort of lawful evil with Werner Herzog. That man of principle who thinks they're doing the right thing while doing the purest of evil. It becomes this Hitler-esque character. I mean, who's scarier in history than Hitler?
Stalin.
It depends on your perspective. They're both pretty fucking terrifying in their own right and have a pretty high body count to their names. So
I would say Hitler first. I'm just.
Yeah. So I mean, they're pretty from you just being an asshole.
How else would I be here? How many people get kissed as they get punched?
Kiss punch. It's my finisher. He can't resist it.
I don't wanna.
I love you. So even though I think that Boba Fett, I'm excited for Boba Fett in this season, I think it needs to be handled with care. I think it needs okay, I'm just gonna side note for a second. Yes, Stalin has a 26 million body count to his name with his people that he killed and whatnot. Now, I'm not saying that Hitler has a higher body count than Stalin. This is the sub debate: Hitler versus Stalin. Who's more evil? What's up, Obi-Wan 27883? That should be, join us next time for Hitler versus Stalin. I'm not necessarily arguing that Hitler had a higher body count, but remember, 12 million is just the Holocaust, is just like the concentration camps, the 6 million Jews and 5 to 6 million other people that were killed. Chairman Mao's a good choice. He killed a lot of his own people too. Hitler killed plenty of his, and don't forget, most of the Jews Hitler was killing were his own people. And then people who became his own people because he owned the country and had taken over the country that they were in. So he gets credit for 6 million Jews, 5 to 6 million other people. And you are making great cases for villains. Nero, Genghis Khan, you guys know your villains. Plus, you got to give Hitler a certain amount of credit for World War II, for the body count for World War II, at least in his neck of the woods. And the tons of people, I mean, how many Jews were killed before they were interned, how many citizens were killed for harboring Jews, for just standing up to Hitler in general, how many people were part of the French resistance or the German resistance or anything like that. So I'm just saying, don't sell our buddy Hitler short. That sounds terrible.
He is not my buddy. I will speak out against you. He is not my friend. And I'm glad he's dead.
I'm just saying,
the best part of Inglourious Basterds was when they shot him in the face so many times he turned to chunks of meat.
As a Jew,
yes.
I just feel like he's like our bad guy, you know.
Well, as someone that dates a Jew, he is and I don't mean great in terms of like good quality, he's the greatest villain in history. And I think he'll always be remembered as the greatest villain in history.
Good for him.
Well, the thing is, though, too, like, you know, my grandma just passed away. She was alive for all that shit.
Yeah.
She was in World War II. I think he's still fresh in people's minds. And thankfully, hopefully we won't reach that level of, just a horrible thing to do. But I just think he's still so fresh. I mean, you can still find Holocaust victims, sadly. You can still...
They're dying off.
Yeah, they're dying off. I get it, but what I'm saying is, like,
no.
you can still meet them.
There are people who have been... There are plenty of people still living today who have been directly affected by that, you know. And so Stalin falls into the same camp because it's obviously the same era, but yeah, I think that's why, you know, it's more direct terror because you can still talk to somebody who can explain to you how fucked up the Third Reich is. See, now Otter Fire's taking the Stalin side, says Stalin's underrated compared to Hitler. I agree. In history's eye, Stalin tends to get a shorter end of the stick. Crackhead Jeremy knows what's up. That bitch Carol Baskin trumps them all. All right, let's get back on track since my opening statement and now includes Stalin and Hitler, as well as Boba Fett. Stalin, Hitler, Boba Fett.
So mine's going to talk about FDR and Winston Churchill.
Sounds good. Which actually, there you go, because villains, it's perfect on mine, you know, villains. Because that's the capacity that I'd like to see Boba Fett in this show. I think you can use him well. I don't want to see him step in to be a fucking mentor.
You want him to kill off all the Jawas?
Yes. I don't want him to be a mentor to the Mandalorian. I don't want him to be the one convincing him to stay true to his principles. I want him to be
how the fuck never mind. I was gonna make your argument for you. Never mind. Just keep going. No, I'm on your side about something. I don't want to jump the gun.
Oh, you could do that easily. I don't want him to be this, you know, whatever, or buddy or partner. I don't want any of that from. I want him to be an obstacle for the Mandalorian. Not someone who's there every fucking episode, but somebody, maybe he comes to kill Baby Yoda. Maybe he comes to kill the Mando for another reason. Whatever it is, I want him to be there in an adversarial role, in a very shadowy. I don't want them to just plop him in episode 1. I am Boba Fett. You know, we know how well that kind of writing goes.
Ich bin Boba Fett.
I am the spy. I am Boba Fett. Hello, that's episode 1. Hello, everybody. I am Boba Fett. In case you have not seen the original Star Wars trilogy, I am in that as this character. How great would
it be, though, if it opens up and he goes, Mandalorian's like, who are you? He's like, I'm Boba Fett. Watch. And he snaps his fingers and it plays the cartoon from the fucking holiday. And then the Mandalorian sits there and is like, why did I watch that? He's like, now you know who I am.
I know who I am. Like, what the fuck did I just watch?
You worked for Darth Vader? And you got captured by a Wookiee because you didn't smell right?
The first episode should be him sitting him down and showing the whole holiday special.
Baby Yoda eats himself.
And then at the end of it, he's just like, see? Does that mean you're like, what the fuck did I watch this for? Oh, God.
And then they both turn to the camera and look at the audience. What the fuck did you just watch this for? And then it ends.
The end of season 2.
That'd be so meta.
No, and that's how they become enemies, though. Is the Mando can never forgive him for making him watch that.
So it's like Ethan versus Cecil.
Exactly. He'll never get over it. But yeah, so that's what I want to see from a Boba Fett in season 2. I don't want to see him omnipresent. I want to see him. I want to see a showdown between Boba Fett and the Mandalorian, and you can resolve this because the thing is, I don't want to see Boba Fett kill the Mandalorian. I don't want to see the Mandalorian kill Boba Fett. I think you can resolve this by having them both having to come together over a mutually beneficial arrangement, some sort of mutual goal, work together, and then like consider their debt settled or their beef buried, and move on. That's what I think.
All right.
Should happen. Press the like button, you motherfuckers. We're 39 away from 100, so let's get it.
So I'm in the camp of no Boba Fett in this show.
Yes.
I don't think Boba Fett should be in this show, first off, because it makes the Star Wars universe even smaller again. We just sat through 5 years of, oh, you're Han Solo. I remember you. Oh, you Skywalker. I know you're a great hero. I know this. I know that. I'm tired of Disney Star Wars being from the point of view of the audiences. Oh, this character has watched these movies. They're as excited as you are. You should get excited, because we have had that issue with Marvel movies, other superhero movies, anything where the audience, the narrator of the film is in on it the way we are. It's supposed to be like, well, this is our introduction to the world. I don't want to be watching a film where the people know what we know. There's supposed to be that separation. But including Boba Fett in the Mandalorian series, like I said, shrinks down the Star Wars universe, because Mandalorian was the Star Wars show that didn't fall into, remember this character? It was, oh, this is the remnants of the Galactic Empire. Stormtroopers are going to be around.
Sure.
These were their soldiers. To me, a Stormtrooper feels more natural in that show than it does in episodes 7 through 9, because why would you go back to something that failed?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be on the remnants of the Empire. So all these familiar callbacks make sense. Army surplus. We have Army surplus stores in the real world now. Mm-hmm. There is going to be excess TIE fighters, excess uniforms, people still on the run. Remember, Return of the Jedi ends with us, the rebels, destroying the Death Star and symbolically ending the Empire with the Emperor's death and Darth Vader's death. There's more war. There's more things out there. Mandalorian has the ability to show us the more out there. You're tethered, you're anchored to the world of Star Wars with stormtroopers and TIE fighters and Jawas and Ugnaughts and shit. But it's not, Queel's not, I was an Ugnaught on Cloud City that shot this golden droid that did this thing, blah, blah, blah.
I fucking appreciate that, because that was something Solo really fell into the trap of. It was so stupid.
So what happens with Boba Fett coming in, for me at least, is you shrink that world. You also take away the agency of the Mandalorian, because the Mandalorian's the way he's presented, he does have faults, but he's also very capable. He does get help, but he also does a lot on his own. Yeah. To me, if you're going to make Boba Fett the ultimate villain, what would Boba Fett be fighting the Mandalorian for? Control of Baby Yoda? Because to go off your point, when you brought up the whole, are you going to teach me what it means to be a Mandalorian? Boba Fett's a fucking clone. He doesn't know what it means to be a Mandalorian. His father, Jango Fett, got killed when he was 9 or 10. If we watch the Clone Wars, he was raised by other bounty hunters. He doesn't know about the code or these ethics or these morals. What's he going to teach, whatever his name, we'll just call him Mandalorian. So Boba Fett doesn't serve as a mentor role. If anything, he's a very bastardized Mandalorian, more so than the guy that's not even a Mandalorian, because we learned that he's not a Mandalorian. He was picked up by the ones or whatever in episode 8 of the show, not the episode 8 Star Wars
it's unclear to me how much of Mandalorian is an actual race of people versus a lifestyle.
It's always the way it used to read, at least, was that it was a group of people, because they all like, I'm going to show you a picture before we go on the stream tonight. There's a painting, the first painting of Boba Fett shows him as a creature. Like, there's a painting card, it's him in his armor. This is from the 90s. This was approved by Lucasfilm, but Boba Fett wasn't always a man. He was a dude-ish body, but he had like some weird ears and stuff like that. You diminish his lore when you introduce him in the prequels, make him a clone, make him the son of Jango Fett, show him vulnerable. Again, that's why I always say George Lucas ruined all the Star Wars characters except Han Solo.
So according to Matthew Goday, Jango, in the pre-Filoni canon, Jango was adopted as a Mando. Therefore, he was a Mandalorian, therefore could have raised his son in the tradition, because he was adopted into that lifestyle and whatnot. So,
but the point I was actually trying to make, though, is that if Jango Fett did it for 10 years, let's say he did it for 5 years, because when you're a little kid, you're not really, you know what I'm saying? You could pick up a theme here and there, but you're not being trained in the way. Your dad gets killed, and we've seen them. We've seen Boba as a kid be taken, like I said, by Bosk and what's her name? Not Aayla Secura. what's her fucking face? She's the bald bounty hunter with she's got an antenna in her head. She's got orange on. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Her. So we know that the Mandalorian was raised by the Mandalorians from like childhood on.
Yeah.
He's actually more well versed in the Mandalorian ways than Boba Fett would be, because Boba Fett again was on the run during the Clone Wars, all this other shit.
Aura Singh.
Yeah, Aura Singh. That's her name. I couldn't think of it. Yeah, I almost said Asajj Ventress, but it's Aura Singh.
I got another.
So
now
when we go to get to the point that I'm trying to make is why I don't think he should be in the show. He doesn't really serve a purpose to be in the show. To me, putting Boba Fett in season 2 of The Mandalorian is Disney either begging for you to watch the show. Now, I'm not going to make assumptions that, maybe the show didn't perform as well. This is what, this is why they're trying to get people in, because Mandalorian did X, Y, and Z numbers, but we don't want to announce it. If that's the case, that's interesting. But I think what it does is it makes The Mandalorian no better than episode 7, 8, Solo, episode 9. Rogue One, even Rogue One. Rogue One, if you didn't introduce Princess Leia or Darth Vader, I think you would have a much more solid film. Make them legendary. Talk about them in the periphery anyway.
I don't mind Vader, but I think what you could have done, which I actually think would have made that scene and that whole film stronger, is if the only time you see Darth Vader is the very end, that last scene, that bleeds right into the beginning of A New Hope. I think that made it so much more powerful.
I still want a Darth Vader movie. I've said this on stream without you. I still want a Darth Vader movie. It's a horror film where you don't see him. It's like a Jaws. Darth Vader's out there. They talk about this great murderer, and you hear the breath. And then maybe at the end you hear a lightsaber ignite, but maybe at the end he says one word or something.
What would be really crazy is if you could make that movie somehow, make it like a sci-fi movie, so you knew it was set in these weird planets, but kept it foreign enough that you didn't quite know it was Star Wars.
That'd be fun. And
so you don't realize at the end until you hear his voice. You're like, holy shit, it was Darth Vader the whole time. Yeah. Wouldn't that be incredible?
Because you could make it to be like a Jedi who's on the run.
Yeah.
And it's like the last Jedi hunt or whatever. Like, this is the final one that Darth Vader knows only Obi-Wan's out there. He assumes he's dead. But like that could be, you could put on the strange planet, no lightsaber, can market the whole thing, no huts. He
never uses any like the Force or stuff like that because he doesn't want people, can't have people know he's a Jedi. But he's got the secret identity. He's on the run from some evil dude. You just don't know who. You just somehow avoid all of that stuff. Oh, you could totally do it too. That'd be so fucking cool. Runs with Venom makes a good point though. Mandalorian is a creed, culture, religion. I kind of think of it, especially from what we got from the show and some of the lore, some of the canon stuff around Boba Fett too, is that like because of that, it's kind of like Judaism, where you can be ethnically Jewish or religiously Jewish, or culturally Jewish, a mixture of all three. Like how you don't have to be born a Mandalorian to become a Mandalorian. But there is a race that are the Mandalorians.
Doesn't the constant changing, and this is an argument on what you're making a point of, but isn't the constant changing of what Mandalorian is at some point, it causes confusion? Because at one point it was canonically this, at one point it's canonically that, and it just keeps changing to fit whatever seems fun.
No, but you also have things like Boba Fett shows up. The first place that I was exposed to Boba Fett with this code, this Mandalorian code and bounty hunter code and whatnot, was in the Solo origin books, that trilogy.
Oh, the A.C. Crispin
He's
books,
in there. I think they write him in really nicely there, and you got that from that. You got both. You got exactly that impression that I was left with. That wasn't really contradicted for me from everything else I kind of went through. Which was that, here's a man of principle with a code, but he's a bounty hunter, and the Mandalorian means something specific. It's not just the armor. There's something more deeper than that. He's from whatever. He's not this clone that you gave us in the prequels. He's from this planet, but also that this code is more important, has a bigger meaning than just the race, the species, the armor, and whatnot. So that was sort of the vague impression I got out of my first introduction to A.C. Crispin, the real Solo story. My first introduction to that character, his backstory, and
look at the X-Men icon. That's an actual shot from the cartoon, the Big Butt of Rogue.
Nice. And so I'm okay with that because I actually don't think that I haven't gotten any information inputted that directly contradicts that impression or that I can't sort of overlook. So the thing that does it the most is the prequels. But I'm like, all right, when you reconcile this two, you pick and choose, whatever. Are you okay? Have you concluded?
I was just about to say, I think we really went beyond what an opening statement would be in both of our cases.
I do have a direct rebuttal to a couple things you've said, and I also want to hit a lot of people hit on. A lot of people sent. Well, there's an interesting way to look at it. It's like, you can belong. You can be a member of a nation and have been born there, have been born into it. You can join a nation and still, I mean, there are plenty, some of the most diehard patriotic Americans are people who were not born here, who chose to live here, who chose to be part of this culture.
There's an episode of King of the Hill I can't wait to show you about this guy. He comes from like Lithuania, and they build him a house for Habitat for Humanity, and he gives this great American speech, and then like people raise up and like applaud him and shit.
Yeah.
He's like, he's the proudest American in the room. Next to Hank Hill, of course.
So Ulmayer brings up a good point, and someone else talked about this too, about how apparently in the lore, so far in what we have, I know Obi-Wan said something else that I wanted to look at. Oh yeah, he's the one who said this before. Not acknowledged the Mandalorian by the Mandalorian peoples, according to my knowledge, Boba Fett is a bounty hunter wearing a Mandalorian armor. So that based on that take, that actually kind of works into what I'm saying is having to be this villainous character. So instead of having him show up and wanting, because now I could also see him in another role if he ends up as a more benevolent character, not as.
I hope not.
I really do hope that they are at odds at some point. But what you can have from him is maybe he at some point can be the one to help the Mando reconcile wearing the armor, being the bounty hunter, sticking to principles, but not actually being a Mandalorian or shedding some of those parts of it.
One thing I'm worried about though is the ever increasing popularity of the show. Can the Mandalorian remain a bad guy? You know what I'm saying? They're putting him to do all this noble stuff. Realistically, he's a bad guy. He hasn't even changed his ways.
He's a rogue.
We just look at him through this lens because he protects Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda's cute. Therefore, he's the hero of the story or a good guy, but he's not really a good guy.
No, and I really don't want him to become one. But
I'm just worried about the existence of the show in general. I think it's lightning in a bottle for one season. Then when you elaborate and you go further, I think you diminish the
that
mystery.
Goes into something, and I do want to talk about that a little later, too, because I did want to rebut something you said. About is this show that good, or are we just looking through the lens of how crappy 7, 8, and 9 was? And that is a secondary topic I'd love to get in.
Let's do it tonight.
This would be Raging Rhino. This would be classic Disney. Bring him and just kill him, just whack him. You make him be the member berry and axe him.
Disney shouldn't do that because as we speak, Boba Fett merchandise. And I know you're thinking merchandise, Jeff. Why do you have about merchandise? Because they make more money on merchandise. Look, you can sit.
Where do they make their money in years between movies? Merchandise.
Look at folks. You can sit and yell until you're blue in the face. One movie ticket, let's say back in the day, you spent $2 to see Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
You spent $2.99 on that Boba Fett figure. Another $12 or $15 or $20 on the Slave One ship. That's just the figure in the ship. Let's say you want Boba Fett underoos. Let's say you want a Boba Fett mask. Let's say you want a Boba Fett toy gun that came out at a later date.
The point is, wear it with their Boba Fett, PJs or blankets or
adults.
Covers.
That's why Hasbro makes a $99 Boba Fett helmet because the character lives outside.
People cosplaying Boba Fett.
Oh yeah, but my point is, don't kill him off because you really when your character, like it's with Indiana Jones. He rides off into the sunset for many adventures. You leave your window open as an audience member that you go, well, he's gone. The movie's over, but he lives forever in my memory. When you kill him off, when like Han Solo is dead, there's no further adventure you can put Han Solo in your mind. James Bond will return in what? You can make it up as you go. When you give these characters an actual finale, I think and George Lucas thought this too. I think you take away the imagination aspect, and you also take away the desire to own a piece of said character.
You say goodbye to them.
Yeah,
you say goodbye, and it's over. It's done. You don't think about them anymore. They don't live with you anymore. They don't stay present with you anymore. Raging Rise is Ahsoka is going to be the one to do it. That would be terrible. I really don't.
I forgot she's in season 2.
I forgot about that
wow,
too. That actually, once you brought that up, that reminded me we already had the Ahsoka's going to be in season 2.
This is going to be a shit show. Fuck it.
Now that I'm thinking about it in that lens, Ahsoka plus Boba Fett, I'm like, they're bringing too many things. Filoni's trying to bring his Clone Wars into it now, and
he might be the Anakin / Darth Vader of Star Wars, except the opposite.
You were supposed to bring balance, not
destroy it.
Oh God, I hear you on that, and I think that's maybe we're seeing that. I think he's the next Lucas of he took the thing that was his, he did it right, he gave it, he breathed the life into it, and now he's gotten too big for his britches and thinks he knows it all. And where'd it go?
Yeah, slide up, I think. There it is.
Boba Fett was raised by Jango Fett, which took his helmet off for everyone to see, which is not the way, as we know. So because that's already an issue too. You're bringing in Boba Fett, you have to deal with what we have in the existing, Disney acknowledges it canon, which is we've seen what a big deal it is to have a helmet off. So we know he's not a real Mandalorian.
I'm not well versed in all the EU stuff, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, just literally baby Yoda, like kid Yoda, kid Boba Fett in episode 2.
Yeah.
He's not wearing a helmet.
The point I'm trying to make,
Django takes his helmet
like I said,
off.
I don't know though
So-
how much of this is from the EU lore or how much was created for the Mandalorian, because I don't read the EU stuff.
I'm just literally talking about what's happened in the prequels. Oh, you mean of the code and the what?
Well, I'm trying to say that should be negated, because if that's a Disney creation with the never removal of the helmet, you can't hold that against episode 2, because this extraneous crap was created.
The prequels are part of the universe.
No, what I'm trying to say though is, in a real life timeline,
Yeah.
you can't hold the first whatever responsible for a rule you created later. It
I
doesn't.
know.
That's what I'm trying to say though. If this Mandalorian never taking your helmet off thing 1-to-1 is from the show only, you can't really ding Jango Fett for not wearing the helmet all the time, because that's a rule created in the real world in 2018 for a movie that was written, directed, and produced in the year 2002. I don't think that has actual bearing on the film itself.
Here's the thing about that though, is yes and no, because when you just have the show The Mandalorian, you talk about Mandalorians not taking their helmet off, and let's say that's when the lore was introduced for that, right? That practice is invented for the show, and it's a big deal thing. No, I don't think that detracts from anything that Jango Fett does in episode 2, because different kind of blah. However, if you, as the people who created this new rule that possibly exists within as a contradiction to something we've seen elsewhere in the universe that you inherited, you have a responsibility now, if you're going to drag Boba Fett into this, to justify that.
But I think
that's what I'm saying.
I think that actually is a ding against Disney and the Mandalorian.
Oh, it is absolutely. That's a Disney thing. No, that doesn't. I'm not saying that reflects poorly or incorrectly.
I don't think it hurts episode 2.
Not at all. My thing is that you have this. This is the lore you were given.
Yeah.
So if you want to create something that negates what you were handed and what you said, yes, still exists. You guys made the call. This still exists. You're working within within those parameters. Now you have a responsibility to justify an anomaly that you created. That's what I'm saying. Disney created the anomaly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm with you.
Therefore, it's Disney's responsibility to address that
one
anomaly.
thing episode 2 doesn't get enough credit for is there's a mystery element to that movie that no other Star Wars has. You could be like, well, Jeff, the mystery of the first one. Look, it's your first entry into a world. It's all new to you.
Yeah.
But episode 2 actually does create who is Jango Fett. Obi-Wan has to investigate. It's a very Batman-esque thing that we had never seen in Star Wars. This isn't like we're just going into battle and running for our lives like in the OT, which is the superior, but we have to hunt down. We have to look up star charts. We have to look at, why is this planet missing? If this is the one missing from the thing, of course this is where there's all this element. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is because Jango Fett, as this mysterious character, has to hide himself.
Yeah.
So with this Mandalorian rule of always wearing your helmet, I think it makes it a little more interesting that Jango Fett can try to, blend in with the Kaminoans and have a safe haven and this and that and all this other crap. So
and you bring up this question you don't answer in the movie. What is he doing there? Why does he live there? He's being paid for the clones and whatnot. But do you think once they have his DNA, do they really still need him?
Probably just a safe haven.
Exactly.
Just a place to raise his son.
Maybe he defected from the Mandalorians and has to hide from them, and it's the only place where he can be safe. Like a lot of questions.
Or maybe he's like a Leon the Professional. He's done working, and he just wants to live out his existence with Jango.
Star Wars News and Memes asked, was the no helmet thing all Mandalorians? Just that specific little group featured in the show. The way they played it in the show, it sounded like that was part of the Mandalorian code. The way they played it in the show, anyway. I don't know.
Finally, some prequel love. Zach Blackfire, I got a ton of great things to say about 3 and parts of 1. 2's the one that I'm really negative on. But
2, even I'll say with 2, sorry to cut you off.
You're fine.
But 2, even if you just rip out Anakin and Padme and you just make that movie Obi-Wan's journey to Kamino and try to figure out the clone stuff and Count Dooku, and then them all coming together for the climax, it's not that bad.
No, it actually has some really great moments.
It does, but you just got to rip it all. But the thing is that it's a fun, interesting plot line that furthers the story, balanced against a hot steaming turd.
You have to keep. I think if you want to make 2 greater, like if we can go back in time and change it, you have to lean heavier into Count Dooku's. What's the word I'm looking for? He's not all evil. His gray area, his conflict.
Yeah,
you have to look into I think the Count Dooku conflict would be interesting.
Yeah,
Luke always goes about look, give the conflict of Vader. There is no conflict and all this shit. It'd be interesting to see maybe even make Dooku into the kind of character that is not pure evil.
I also think that's just a general thing. That's an interesting thing to explore in general. A very Grey Jedi-esque thing to explore in general. I know people talk about missed opportunities exploring Grey Jedi and how Rey is one. She's not. She's the pinnacle. I don't understand how people try to claim that Rey is a Grey Jedi. She is the pinnacle of perfect good morality. She never does anything wrong ever. So bullshit.
No, she's not. Obi-Wan, I'm checking my phone, buddy. You haven't sent me anything yet.
But I don't see on mine. There it is. But what was I say? Is that, because you have Sith that are just raised to be Sith, that are always Sith, that have, whether or not whatever they were before, who were never Jedi, and then there are a number of Jedi who have turned to the dark side because they know the power of the Force already. So let's worry about the, let's embrace the dark side. And once you have obviously a large proportion of Jedi who
he sent
nice,
me.
That's cool.
That's
that game they plays.
Yeah, but I have the Marvel code. That's what I play.
So
yeah, I agree. Rey isn't a Jedi. Let me see her paperwork.
that's true. Fuck that bitch. She never had any trials. No trials.
She really didn't. I made that video, folks. If you want to go back and check it out,
trials.
Rey does not face the trials. And if you go to the official Wikipedia page for the Jedi trials, Rey's name isn't anywhere. So they don't try to, her fighting Kylo Ren is the trial of the Flash or the trial of Will.
No
she
trials.
doesn't have them.
She has no, because he has no challenges. Just
the thing is, Luke Skywalker had
easy.
them, and Luke tries to come up in the time of a Jedi where it's even worse because you have the people that oppressed and wiped them out still in power.
Yep.
We're post of that. Jedis are a myth or a legend.
You could come back. You could be, no one's stopping you. No one's fighting. No one's hunting you down. No one's trying to kill you. Really, realistically, no one is. I mean, Kylo's really trying to fuck you. So
here's the thing: if Chewbacca wanted to, he shot him once.
Mm-hmm.
He could have ended him quickly.
The
Force didn't save Kylo Ren. Chewbacca, for some reason,
bitched out because
how would you have felt if Episode 7 when he shot him? It showed Chewbacca rip his arms out of his sockets and throw him down the thing.
I'd have been pleased.
I'm like, yeah, fuck you. And then Chewbacca dies of sadness. I don't know.
He kills him. He sacrifices himself blowing up the Starkiller base. The end.
In the Falcon.
He flies it into the reactor for the planet.
I've said it 100 times. I'll say it again. Han and Chewie should have died together in the Falcon, taking out Starkiller Base one last run. I don't care. You know what? If you have to introduce light speed ramming, have that be the time where you light speed ram.
And even that to me, if that was the way that ended, would have somewhat justified the turning him into the deadbeat dad and all that stuff. Because at least it's like, okay, you're mirroring his redemption arc from the first one, but adding the finality. Because I'm okay with mirroring an arc as long as it's you've come somewhere further. Because you do that with Han. He has the smaller redemption arc in terms of sacrificing his safety for his friends, and the bigger one of giving up everything for the rebellion. So you do have that kind of framing. I'm all for framing of character points, but there has to be a reason for it. So if you say Han's had it rough, he's reverted to his old self and whatnot, so that he can come full circle and end up somewhere further than he was before. I'm not just giving up the life I had. I'm not just putting myself in danger. I'm giving it all now. I'm concluded, and then it's a satisfying. I'm concluding my story. I finished my journey. I've learned you go back to the deadbeat dad part. Okay, there were still more lessons he needed to learn that he didn't get all of, and now he has, and he can finish his journey. I'll buy into that more than I will just this nonsense of we turn him into a plot device to try to justify Kylo Ren's little tantrums. So,
I just love how Disney's you know how you do A through Z.
Yeah.
Disney's was we're on step F. We have Harrison Ford in the movie. Let's work our way back to something, and it just doesn't work. There's too many.
So the thing I wanted to rebut earlier though is where you talked about the opportunity that the Mandalorian gives us to explore new grounds, to not be stuck in the same loop, in the same smallness of the universe. And I don't think that having Boba Fett takes away from that. I actually think Boba Fett gives you an opportunity to explore that further because of exactly what I said in my initial point about the mystique of Boba Fett and how little we know about him. Yes, he's been explored in the EU and whatnot, but that's all good. Bye-bye. So Rex apparently now is going to be, this is Filoni's work. I blame Filoni. Apparently Rex is rumored to be in the new season.
Wait, the clone?
I assume so.
Wait, is he the yellow clone, right? Because one of them is in. They went back in Return of the Jedi. There's a rebel commander with a white beard. Mm-hmm. They've written that officially as a clone that survived and stayed good or something. Let me see which one that is. Just out of curiosity, keep talking. I'm not ignoring you. Anyway, talking about making the world the mystique of Boba Fett.
So the mystique of Boba Fett. So because of that, because of those lack of answers,
I think that's
without those answers, you have they say Rex is the bearded clone. Yes.
Yeah. So here he is in Return of the Jedi.
Yes.
They turned this actor into this clone. Little stuff like that's fun for me. That kind of Star Wars universe building.
That's kind of cool. Rex is blue, Cody is yellow / orange.
Okay.
Commander Cody's yellow. There you go. I'm glad we have all these Clone Trooper fans in here.
Commander Cody was the one that got. We saw take Order 66 first.
Nice. So okay. Now people are saying Toffee 20 is saying Tamora Morrison's too bulky. We'll find out. You can always use a voice and put someone else in the suit.
I think that's George Lucas's greatest Empire Strikes Back mistake with special edition changes is making Tamara Morrison the voice of Boba Fett. I know he's a clone, but look at Batman in the Ben Affleck movies. He's got that voice modulator. Who says Boba Fett didn't have his throat ripped out or have some kind of cybernetic appendage or something to change the voice?
Even just filters his voice so you can't. That's another form of protecting his identity. Even that. But what if it's not actually Boba Fett, but Rex pretending to be Boba Fett? Because there's a rumor that Tamora Morrison's playing both of those people. So
where would he get the armor, though? Unless they're going to have to do a whole story how Boba Fett escaped. Because remember, his armor is going to be different. Everybody's armor is different. I think that would add too much confusion. I think it's a cool idea in theory.
But yeah, I'm gonna watch Clone Wars eventually. Sounds like this is something that I don't like also that they're doing, the way they're bringing in Ahsoka and the way they're bringing in Rex. It feels like now they're just trying to convince me to watch the Clone Wars. Like, oh, it's watching the Clone Wars gonna be a prerequisite to watching season 2 of The Mandalorian, because I don't like that. You're just trying to, maybe there's all this ploy, let's just shove this in as a way. Maybe Disney swooped in and was like, we don't have a lot of paying members. We need people to buy into their Disney Plus subscription because they need to feel like they got to binge watch all the Clone Wars now. Or if we drop in, people are going to keep their subscriptions around for Mandalorian season 2. So we'll drop in all this Clone Wars stuff. So people who haven't seen the Clone Wars are going to need to keep their Disney Plus subscription so they can go watch the Clone Wars now. See, that shit pisses me off.
The Clone Wars, for most of it, has been released on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So you can get HD Clone Wars and you can buy a used copy and not give Disney a damn dollar. So if you're one of those people like, I hate what Disney did to Star Wars, I refuse to support them, you can watch the Clone Wars and the money goes to whoever held the disc that gave George Lucas $1. Yeah. So, I mean...
See, because honestly now all of this stuff with Ahsoka, with Boba Fett, with the rumor now about Rex, especially with Ahsoka, the rumor about Rex, I'm like, this is now making me feel like they're just trying to sell subscriptions for Disney Plus. So that worries me.
Well, it's interesting, though, to look at it from that lens, or that guise, because we have to think Disney's game plan. If streaming is their only game plan, Mandalorian looks great, but Mandalorian does definitely look lesser than a big budget thing. We'll just use an Avengers movie. Avengers movie is the premier big budget experience. We lose that. We also lose that with Star Wars. Now, if the Mandalorian is going to be the heights that we reach with Star Wars, I won't really complain because we've seen what a almost $400 million budget gets us. Episode 9, which looks like shit. Yeah, it's overly dense. It's not well designed. Anyway, I'm worried that if that's their game plan to get you to subscribe to Disney Plus and nothing else, that's it. We're never gonna have the big spectacle of Star Wars.
It just shows you that Disney's learned nothing, I think, and I think that's the case. I think that's the reality of it. Is they haven't learned where they've gone wrong. They haven't learned where they lost the fans. They haven't learned what it is we do and don't like, and they haven't learned they cannot just treat. I think that's like Disney got so lazy they just stopped treating Star Wars like an IP, like a creative endeavor, and just started treating it like a business. Hey, buy our shit. It's like they're just screaming it in our faces. Yo, guys, buy our fucking shit. And there's no subtlety, there's no tact, there's no even attempt. It's laziness, and it's insulting because there's no even attempt to try to package it into something we actually want anymore. It's just they're giving us, they're just like, here, have the shit, buy it because we said so. Here, have this character and that character and fucking enjoy it because bad.
I'm with you though. You're the strong arm technique is definitely off-putting.
Very.
But the thing is, as a producer, you have to have something good to sell. You're in the position of power, Disney, with the Clone or Mandalorian season 1. But you need, like you said, they didn't learn anything. They need to take inventory of why season 1 worked. And it's not the cuteness of Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda was cool and it caught people off guard and it works. Sure. But that thing's going to grow up. Then also, the cuteness, the novelty has a shelf life, which I think is done. And the Guardians did it right because they made Baby Groot and then he grew up and he moved on. And everyone was so enamored with Baby Groot, but everything that's cute loses its factor. This cute cat, this cute dog. Eventually, you're just like, I've seen it. You can't hide behind this cutesiness. Yep. And Disney wants to hide. The thing is, Disney should have never bought Star Wars, and they realistically should have never bought Marvel because they're at the end of the day, they go off of Walt Disney's whims from decades ago. They're all about family cutesy entertainment, but they also have this weirdness, this desire to infuse odd sexuality stuff, and it's nothing to do with like LGBT stuff. Why do you need to put like nudity in The Rescuers? Or why do you need to hide? They put there's a frame of a naked lady when they go on the riverboat thing in the window. They put it's a known thing. They put these little Easter eggs of like sexuality, or the priest with the boner in Little Mermaid, stuff like that. But they can't remove themselves from this like overtly cutesy crap, and they're stuck in that. And that is not what Star Wars has been, or Marvel has been. Oh, nice! I do need some power converters.
Hook us up.
Uncle Owen won't let us out due to the virus.
Obi-Wan 27883 says, "Please read my Russell chats. Thanks. Shots."
Not tonight.
Cool. Thank you for the super chat. I'm trying to go back and find your Russell. Russell said most of what they did was developed before Disney took over. Also, I think there's more to this. Russell said he worked on a bunch of artwork they used for the new season 7 of the Clone Wars. And he said most of what they did was developed before Disney took over. Also, his director friend said Dave Filoni locked KK out completely from the finishing of season 7, which is clearly why that one went over so well. Now, here's, thank you for those messages, Obi-Wan. I'm glad we got to read those. Russell, if you guys don't know, was the guy Jeff interviewed over on his channel, former Lucasfilm employee, was very involved in a lot of that stuff.
Great interview, folks. Definitely check it out.
Super interview. Have you chopped it up yet, or is it still just the full thing?
It's the full thing. It's on the channel. I figure it's so... I feel like, here's the thing, a lot of people wanted just straight to the Star Wars stuff. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's so important to show you that this guy has been in the entertainment industry and created a lot of iconic stuff. Because look, anyone can work in Star Wars. Look at all the actors that are in Star Wars and go and do nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And you look at a Harrison Ford who's had this deep career. Russell's had a deep career, and I think it would have done a disservice to him. I mean, he worked on Batman the Animated Series. That show had more of an impact than the Clone Wars, and everybody likes Clone Wars. Batman the Animated Series is up here.
That's what I still think you should do a hot takes edit of that one. I just think so. Press 1 in the chat if you'd love to see a hot takes edit of Jeff's interview. So the whole stream is there. You can go check it out and stuff. It's going to, you'll be able to find it. But would you like to see, for those who didn't make it to the stream itself, a condensed version of some of the spiciest things that Russell said about Lucasfilm? 1 in the chat if you'd like that hot takes version. Just give Jeff a sense if we should make more work for him or not.
Well, I'm about to be doing a lot more work now that everything with the book's been taken care of.
Zach really wants it.
Right, well, Zach's got to get his I like big assholes and I cannot come to you.
We do got to make that for him. We're working on it.
If we wouldn't have lost the whole weekend to the streams we did and stuff, I think we would have designed it. Oh, the James Baker saw it live, but hell yeah. All right.
There you go. I think that's your answer. So what I want to, so the one thing I was saying about your point, and I'll just wrap up my thoughts on Boba Fett being in the series. Obviously, we're still on this, topic at large. Is I think that because of his mystique, I think he can be a great window into a bigger, with that little sliver of a bridge to the original stuff, that little member berry, but he can still suffice as a window into bigger Star Wars that we didn't know about, some stuff we weren't thinking about that was, possibly going on in the background. I always think it's fun to learn, like, while these, maybe learn where was Boba Fett at X time. So, like, during this thing, like, how to get out of the Sarlacc pit according to this world, or like where he was between, the prequels and the sequels, and just find out some of that stuff. Obviously, those questions have been answered in the EU, but I don't mind that. And again, also, even if we don't have to, I don't just want to go back and see a bunch of flashbacks of that, but we can see him bring that world of knowledge that exists that can be very bad. He can even be a jumping off point to outer reaches of the galaxy. He's a bounty hunter. He's been all over. He's not tied to the Empire, to the story of the originals. So he's certainly, even though he's tangentially related to all of it, he can take us all over. He can be that window. So my conclusion for my point is I do think you can absolutely bring Boba Fett into Mandalorian season 2 and have him work. I don't think Disney's going to do that, though. Just perfectly honest, I think there's a way to do it right. I don't think Disney is going to do that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it right either. The reason I'm so against it is because we've seen the mishandling every time. Think of a legacy Star Wars character that has come out better since Disney's purchased the IP. Princess Leia is lesser. Luke Skywalker was bastardized. Han Solo was lesser. Chewbacca, the droids, Yoda, Lando.
No one's been improved upon. Everyone's
no one can look me in the eye and go, "Oh, this Star Wars character is so much better because we got to see them as an old man or an old woman." Nobody.
Not a single one.
Darth Vader was even. I'm not gonna say made lesser, but that stupid "don't choke on your aspirations."
I hate that line so much. Oh my god.
That because we've talked about historically you follow a company's their trends and how they do stuff. that is why I have absolutely no faith, because we have a season that is going to be jam-packed with Ahsoka Tano, and they're going to want to appease the 8% of people that are on Twitter, so they're going to have to make Ahsoka can't look weak. She's going to have to best the Mandalorian. A lot of people bitch that what's her name, Cara Dune. Who played her? The buff chick,
Gina
Carano.
Carano.
I almost called her Carla Gugino. That's another actress. They got enough flack for her like punching a metal helmet.
Right.
If we're gonna have to sit and watch The Mandalorian, because here's the thing, folks, that Disney doesn't understand. You talked about Disney making this mistake. We don't need our hero to be beaten down at every point. Sometimes our hero needs to reach a point where they're the hero and they can handle it.
Exactly. It's you watching your hero, and that's the thing. It's one thing to watch your Luke Skywalker characters get beaten down a bunch on their journey.
The beginning.
But it's also their journey. It's their journey from becoming a weak, pathetic thing to a strong thing. We're talking about someone who's, and granted, we do get to watch the man be badass a lot. But
we also, when he went to fight that Mudhorn, he almost died. When we watched him fight the Jawas outsmarted him. And there's the perfect balance.
And I think we have a really good balance in the show right now of watching his ass get handed to him and watch him do a bunch of really cool badass shit. And I do think that introducing Ahsoka risks upsetting him. Introducing Ahsoka also introduces the Force, by the way, which is another thing that I don't like. Realistically, unless you're telling a story about a Jedi, unless it's a very minor brush up with a Force sensitive person for like 5 minutes where they do a Force thing and you're like, ooh, the Force. I don't think the Force and the Jedi lore and Jedi in general, even Grey Jedi to an extent.
Is it even a real thing?
It's an EU thing,
But that's wiped out, right?
Well, yeah, technically. But I don't think that Jedi and the Force should be part of our other Star Wars stories. That's partially preserving the mythos in the universe. Even in even when you meeting Anakin on at the Phantom Menace, you're in the Phantom Menace, he calls it a laser sword, right? Because he doesn't know what the fuck it is. He only knows a little bit. He clearly only recognizes the lightsaber and that Qui-Gon is a Jedi because he's clever and he reads about shit. It's not like no one else on Tatooine is like, oh, it's a fucking Jedi.
They're not from the Disney movie. Like, oh my God, you're
Qui-Gon Jinn. Watto, okay, he's just dealing with a lot of different kinds of people, so he's Jedi mind trick, that shit doesn't work. I mean, people know what Jedi are in the prequel world, but because they should, but they're still, even in the prequel universe, they're still mysterious. Mm-hmm. The whole Padme's a fucking queen, and she's spends the beginning of episode 2 asking Anakin all sorts of what it means to be a Jedi. There's a mythos to these characters, not just tootling around every day. Every fucking person and their mom has met a Jedi. It's not the coronavirus where everyone's infected.
I've realized, though, from this debate that we agree on more opinion or stances than not. And you and I have had this discussion countless times. I say it on my channel all the time. My favorite Star Wars elements are not the Jedi and the Force. With Baby Yoda introducing it a little bit, I think having Ahsoka as a Jedi and all this stuff takes away the specialness of Baby Yoda unless she's coming to take Baby Yoda to train it. That's the only thing I could think why she would be in it. But Dave Filoni, everyone can kiss his ass. You're too into your own character of Ahsoka.
Agreed.
She should be dead.
She shouldn't
have survived. She shouldn't have survived the fucking Jedi Purge. She should be gone. And to bring her back, to me, it's no worse than Kathleen Kennedy's self-insert of Rey or all these Jyn Erso characters, because at the service of your ego, you create a character that damages the other characters just by existing.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one of the things I didn't even think about that part, is how much you're detracting from the mythos of Baby Yoda by introducing a Jedi. That is really, you have this what the fuck is this thing that he's doing? Oh, it's just the fucking Force. Ahsoka's gonna come out of nowhere to train him or some shit like that, or to try to get him to Luke Skywalker or whatever. I don't know what the fuck she's gonna do.
Luke Skywalker's name should never be
mentioned
in this show.
You
should never see an original trilogy character. Tatooine was as far as I want to take it. I don't want to see Hoth, because we saw a snow planet. I don't want to see Endor. I don't want to see Dagobah. What would you ever go to Dagobah for?
What value would you get from that? Oh, we're going to go, season 2 will be all about discovering Dagobah and finding Yoda's old home and, the fucking Force lessons he learned.
Then why do you have a show called The fucking Mandalorian? Because all he wants to do back to bounty hunting.
So that's, what you're seeing with season 2, my prediction now, this is season 2 to season 1 is The Hobbit to Lord of the Rings. So for those, Jeff, who may not know, in between Lord of the Rings, obviously Lord of the Rings was what am I blanking on? The New Line Cinema. and all these, like, it had backing, and it had, we're going to produce this, but it was very much like, we're going to distribute this because we think it's got great potential, but you guys do this. We're not investing our time and our resources into making it because we're not sure about it. So Warner Brothers is like, we'll distribute it. Here you go. You know, this is our property for making those independent kind of things and whatnot. And so here you go. But you know, our Searchlight Pictures or whatever, and you have fun, make your little nerd project over there, and we'll see if the people want it. If not, that sucks to be you. And then, oh shit, people love this. We got our hands on it. And all of a sudden, even though you still have Peter Jackson attached to the project, who is a total Tolkien loyalist, and he's talked about the things he's unhappy about The Hobbit. I mean, you're talking about the guy who picked all of the fruit in Hobbiton and wired on fake fruit, wax fruit of the correct fruit that Tolkien described in the books. That's how he did the Lord of the Rings. You know, so you're telling me that this guy wanted the whole fucking White Orc sub-story, wanted to bring Legolas in and have this is the whole shit, right? The story of The Hobbit, you're familiar with it enough.
I read it
once upon a time.
Yeah.
You know, the Hobbits, Bilbo goes on this grand journey with a bunch of dwarves. They fight a dragon, they get treasure. And if you've read the books, there are certain tie-ins where Gandalf goes off. The reason he's not always there when he's needed, you know, is he's off hunting out this evil, which turns out to be Sauron come back, which is cool. When you're reading, you're like, oh, that's neat. But they also made they made the animated version of this without any mention of all that extra detail, and it works. And realistically, they didn't even touch too much on that in the movies they did make with all that extra time. No, what we got was gratuitous dragon. They're like, check us out with our fucking visual effects. Let's have Smog run around for 20 fucking minutes to add action sequences. It was a bunch of added action sequences. It was this bullshit with the White Orc, which was all Guillermo del Toro. I guarantee you, even though he was originally going to direct it and they pulled him off, but he was still in there as an artistic consultant. I guarantee you that during the times that he was involved with the project, that's when the fucking White Orc became a part of it. It has his name written all over it. Fucking having an elf and her love line with one of the dwarves, killing dwarves in the movie that weren't that didn't even die in the books just for this fucking effect. And oh god, Radagast, the joke that was Radagast, so bastardizing, you know, original characters. Radagast is another wizard. They made this fucking crackpot who's like smells too much bird shit because he's birds living in his head, and so he's fucking crazy. Like that's literally this is about Lord of the Rings world. You know, do you think of the Gravas? I mean, there's a lot of comedy and humor in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, it's funny, especially with what's the elf Gimli.
But again, it makes sense in the world.
Yes.
You know, you even have jokes about being high, you know, and weed and whatnot. You don't have a fucking crackpot wizard. Like
no, yeah, because when you're talking about that special tobacco or whatever, right?
Yeah, the South Farthing, the weed from the South.
One
Farthing.
thing I wanted to say though, real quick trivia question. So you brought up New Line and how they did Lord of the Rings. I mentioned this maybe once. What is the movie that made New Line possible?
I know you've told me this before, but I can't remember.
If it wasn't for A Nightmare on Elm Street,
there
wouldn't be New Line the way it is, Bob Shea, and that wouldn't get us Lord of the Rings. So in many ways, because they always used to call New Line the house that Freddie built, in a weird way, A Nightmare on Elm Street made it possible for Lord of the Rings.
That's like my trivia like that, where if it weren't for the failure of THX 1138, we wouldn't have The Godfather. Fun story, which, you know, I think I would
never argue that Godfather is a greater film than A Nightmare on Elm Street. I'll never, because it's a stupid argument to make. But one day you got to sit down and watch it.
I will. I want to. I know movie. I've nothing against those the iconic horror films. I just haven't seen enough of them.
In 1984, well, you'll be able to watch a young Johnny Depp pre 21 Jump Street.
Yeah. So Legolas coming into there you go. Well, that would be exciting. But pre 20, I've seen him in the original 21 Jump Street.
I know you
have like the season 1 on DVD. Yeah, I think I got it for free somewhere.
We got to one day watch A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. There's this gay subtext that they claim they never knew making the movie, but a couple people knew, and then people in Europe knew. So the movie was a huge hit in Europe, but it kind of in America. And then the next one they kind of rectified it. But it's about.
So you're saying it was a big hit in France.
Yes, Robert Englund himself goes, they're really into that sexual shit over there. They knew it. I'm like, all right, Robert.
Of course they did. Realistically, Europe has always been less prudish than the U.S. So
it's true. I'm not arguing that, but we
are a country founded by Puritans.
They go to an S&M club, and the guy sees his gym teacher, and the gym teacher takes him back to the school, and he makes him run laps, and he puts him in the shower, and then the shit in the shower comes alive, and the gym teacher gets naked, and he gets whipped to death. It's really weird.
Sounds really gay.
Oh yeah, Mark Patton, the lead actor,
gay.
Is called a scream queen because he's super gay. He made a documentary about himself. Yes.
But
Hey, Mako Rex, what's up?
so the other thing they do, Legolas. Now the thing is, I'm not opposed to Legolas being present in the Hobbit movies, in the new Hobbit movies, because his dad is the king of the Mirkwood elves, and they go to Mirkwood. They meet the king. It's totally realistic that Legolas could be tootling around in Mirkwood. It's totally realistic because the Mirkwood elves come and they end up in the Battle of the Five Armies at the end. It's totally realistic that Legolas could be there with the Battle of the Five Armies, but then they get to this whole, they create this chick elf, right? And she's a fine character, as like a strong woman character. She's your strong woman character that just had to be in there for no reason, because it's too dude-centric. And look, if you want to have a badass warrior elf, that's fine. But what do they do with her? She's a warrior class, so she's not good enough to be with Legolas, even though they have this romance. But then she meets this dwarf, and they have a romance now. So there's this weird love triangle with one of the dwarfs. The one, mind you, where they clearly are planning this from the beginning, because they make him the one with the least amount of facial hair, like the cutest looking one. Mm-hmm. There's two that are sort of younger and cuter looking, Keely and Philly. And I can't remember if it's Keely or Philly. I think it's Keely is in the elf. They have the little love thing, but then they have to kill Keely, who doesn't die in the book, and so that she can go happily be with Legolas, and he can defy his parents and love her anyway, even though she's a simpleton. And it's just this bullshit that doesn't need to be there. All this added crap just so you can be like, look, it's Legolas. Remember when chicks dig Legolas? Here you go. Chicks love a good Legolas. Let's add some stupid humor. People love laughing. Gimli was comic relief in all the Lord of the Rings. Let's add some stupid comic relief. That'll be fun for us. And just like all this dumb shit that when the studios get involved, like this is what the kids want, right?
Right.
This is totally what the kids want. In the same way that Guillermo del Toro, I think, was the catalyst that ended this, because you get him involved, and now, anyway, I can't prove any of this. I just think the White Orc has his name written all over it. I don't think he's a bad director, a bad filmmaker, a bad dude. I just think that he does not belong. He belongs on an IP. If it's not his own, it's on something that is open for like a lot of interpretation and creativity, like Hellboy. Not something that is already so specific. And again, it's not like if it was the first time Tolkien a story was being put in live action, I'd say, okay, embellish it, create your own design and whatnot. But you had such a beautiful version of that in Lord of the Rings. I'm not saying it's the only acceptable version, but it was very beautiful and it was very pure. And you could see how much people loved that pure interpretation when you have somebody who took his time. I mean, why the fuck do people spend those hours poring over Tolkien's paragraph after paragraph describing the trees and the scenery and the shit that I nerd out over, if not to see it represented in its written form, it translated into beautiful visuals on the screen? That was the joy of Lord of the Rings. And so just to not fucking realize it. So long rant about why the Hobbit's
Lord of the
dumb.
Rings, though, the nice thing about it is it came and went, meaning they didn't milk it until The Hobbit, because The Hobbit was what, 10 years after?
It wasn't. The first one would have been close, but I think it was maybe about that. I don't remember what you first.
I was saying, unlike a Star Wars or a Star Trek or another property that keep putting shit out all the time to keep it around. Lord of the Rings had this big thing.
Yeah.
It's somebody on the outside that didn't care about it when it came out. It was hugely popular. Everybody went and saw those goddamn movies, and then it ran its course. It was well received, and then it ended.
Part of that,
like Harry Potter, it did its shit, and it ended.
A big part of that was Christopher Tolkien, the one who just died recently.
Oh, the 95-year-old man?
Yeah, because he was the one. So Tolkien obviously has been dead for a while, but Christopher Tolkien was sort of the caretaker of his father's legacy, and in charge of all that. He was very particular about licensing that IP. Mike W, was it Anna? Because I'm sure if you say sorry, she'll be all right with you again. A. Cole makes a good point. The audience these times and miss things. You know,
well, George Lucas, even though he didn't want to, did you see that interview with Kathleen Kennedy that came out today? Talking about how George Lucas, even though he was busy making other movies, he was always thinking about the Star Wars prequels. Yeah. I was like, it's weird to hear her talk about Star Wars. She's like, I was working on other movies, but he was always, his mind was there.
Thanks, KK. Shut up. Also, press the like button because we are getting dangerously close to those 100 likes. We're 6 away. I think we can do it in probably the next few seconds if we all put our minds to it. By we, I mean you guys, because
I can do it.
I've already liked it, so
I'll give it a like. I'm on the stream. I like myself. I like me.
I like me too. I like us. We're good too. We're pretty good. Hey, and we're 2 away now. So by the time Jeff gets there, it'll be too late. I mean, you should still like it.
No, if I get there and it's already at 100, I will not.
Well, you're a jerk. So.
It's too late anyway. It's at 101.
Screw you.
I mean,
But anyway.
I guess I'll give it a like.
Aw, you're so kind and loving.
Since 2 assholes gave it a thumbs down.
Fuckers. Probably Falcon Apoda. That bitch.
Who?
I bet he's lurking. Falcon Apoda, probably almost certainly Jason Ward.
I don't know him, so.
Well,
I've seen him.
He was the guy negging in Rosetta's chat yesterday.
Oh, that's why we're okay.
But you like me? Quell surprise. Who are you, old school Jeremy? You're fine, I guess. So now I think we're seeing the same thing. I think Filoni is that accidental, Achilles heel that's sort of opening the floodgates. And I also think it's that. I think, Mandalorian came out nicely timed to build Rise of Skywalker hype, but they were still Disney and Lucasfilm were still focused eye on the prize with Rise of Skywalker at that point, dealing with the reshoots and all the stuff and the PR and controlling the narrative. Me is me. That's true. Mindless Entertainment. I do love me. Me is the best.
Well, I don't even. You are right. So. I don't think they care. I mean, they cared about Mandalorian clearly,
sure.
But I don't think Mandalorian was their main focus in 2019. I don't know if it should have been though, because look what happens when you make it the main focus.
I think that's correct.
Because look, I love Star Wars toys.
Yeah.
I have countless Star Wars toys. I did like how small the Mandalorian toy line felt. Just hear me out. You get him. You get Baby Yoda. Like they come out, they stagger. So you get him. You get Baby Yoda. You get Cara Dune. You get IG-11. Then you put out Queel. They got the ATST. They're going to get a couple other things. They're not making and they're making the Stormtrooper.
Yeah.
But they're not making action figures of Werner Herzog.
When they do, that. Can I have one?
A Werner Herzog figure? I mean, if they make anything.
Just want to know, Werner Herzog, if this ever gets to you somehow, just know that I love you.
I have a feeling I'm going to run into him on an elevator one day. I'm going to say, hey, Werner, I have a favor to ask. Could you say something to my girlfriend? She's in love with your voice.
Oh, my God. I got to think of what I want you to have him say. Oh, God. It's important that it be the right thing.
I don't know. He was saying hello, Jesse Milestone.
That would be acceptable. I just want you to ask him a really weird question. I don't want to dictate. I want you to ask him a really weird question. I want you
to
talk
about the penguins.
No, it can't be penguins. It has to be something new. Ask him his opinion. Say your girlfriend wants to know his opinion on angels, and then just record that answer. That's what I want. I want to know what Werner Herzog thinks of angels. Do you remember the interview I put on the other day?
I want to get back to that and watch it again.
That would be so fun. Because he starts talking about like science, but then he talks about like the universe, like the cosmic end of this universe. It's very scientific. And you're like, what was any of his science?
What we should do is watch his penguin clip, and then we should watch Scamper.
We should just play the penguin clip, or we should just play the audio, his narration from that documentary over Scamper.
I'm down.
Runs with Phantoms. I should have him say, I know, that'd be great. Oh, I know. It's so good.
Yeah, I liked Cara Dune as well. I thought she was a really good character.
So the point I was trying to make with that is, do you think if Disney had its eye on The Mandalorian, or if that was its flagship property, which it is now, do you really think we wouldn't have gotten a Baby Yoda toy before it came out? If they had their eye on that property, you think they're going to sit on that one?
No, I think if that was their main focus, and I just real quick to jump back, I think Disney Plus was put together hastily. I know they've talked about a streaming service for years, but it doesn't. It's like when you go to do a big school project on the night before, and you still somehow get like a B or an A, but it's not the best you could do. I feel like that's Disney Plus.
Yeah, it kind of almost feels like Disney Plus was built around the idea of a Mandalorian, that kind of show, rather than vice versa. Rather, we're going to have the streaming service to put all our stuff on and ultimately populate with new ideas. Let's have some ideas to populate it. It sounds like they were creatively delving into television already. Like,
yes,
Jon Favreau maybe already pitching the Mandalorian in this, and they're like, we need a home for this. Well, let's get into the streaming business. No time like the present.
If the streaming business would have existed 10 years earlier, I don't think George Lucas would have ever sold Star Wars, because he had a Star Wars TV show planned out. I think they wrote how many scripts. If he had the money and the platform to do that in,
he just kept making.
I think he would have stuck to that. And I think we would have had a much richer, crazier Star Wars universe. I don't think we've ever seen Han, Luke, and Leia ever again. He would have been like, their story is over. This is more. And I think Star Wars could have lived on forever, because look at how well society has accepted the Clone Wars. Ahsoka Tano now sits in the same sense as a Luke Skywalker, meaning she's a part of the lore.
Yeah.
If you can do that so well at the Clone Wars back in 2008, you could have done the same thing
easily
10 years earlier on Netflix or whatever would have existed back then. and you would have had that same
on
acceptance.
Lucasfilm, the streaming service. People would have bought into that shit.
That'd have been even a more minimalistic one.
Imagine if that was it though, and like, but he just went to some of his friends, like, you know, Coppola or whatever. Was like, hey, you know, you want to give me the licensing to like put your obviously now they're not necessarily in charge of all this stuff, but if he got like some really cool projects from his like filmmaker buddies.
No, I think that would have been a really cool.
American Zoetrope, the streaming service.
God.
Dude, that would be incredible.
Star Wars on it.
Can you imagine though, American Zoetrope, the streaming service? So you can get some, you get like Star Wars on it and whatnot, and you know, some of these things that these people own. But imagine if you got that then, like to get Coppola back into those, like to bring some of those big innovators from the 70s, reach out to people like a Scorsese, Spielberg, and whatnot, and like, hey, come create here, guys. Come experiment the way you used to. Can you imagine how exciting that would be?
We would have got The Irishman on Netflix.
God damn. I guess so. I really want to call up Lucas now because I totally have his number. Be like, yo, get your buddies together. American Zoetrope, the streaming service. Trust me.
I almost hate to say this though. Lucas doesn't have anything of value in his backlog anymore.
I don't know if that's the case or not.
No. I meant like what he's did.
Oh, what he's previous. What do you?
Yeah. I mean,
that's true. But I'm saying, like, I would watch some shit if they started to play. If they all started to like play together, you know, you get like a Dr. Horrible, but with I think much greater filmmaker minds. I think you should also throw
Brian De Palma in there
because
they were friends.
Cool.
He wrote the crawl for the first Star Wars movie. So I mean, he has input.
I would love all kinds of female. I've said Spielberg, and Scorsese, and you know, a lot of these guys. Was Scorsese part of Zoetrope in the beginning?
I don't think he was ever a part of it.
No, I don't. Let's say it was Coppola, Lucas, and it was somebody else.
Look it up.
It might have been somebody slightly lesser known. I don't know. American. I might have been more people too, but American Zoetrope. Let's see if I can find the
founders: Francis Ford Coppola and George Lucas.
So those were the two big guys, and they worked with other. I think they talked to other people, but it was the sort of their kind of brainchild. The studio has now produced not only the films of Coppola, but also Lucas's pre-Star Wars run, as well as many others by avant-garde directors such as Jean-Luc Godard. There you go. Kurosawa, Wim Wenders, and Godfrey Reed. So
I love the name Wim Wenders.
Wim Wenders. Wim Wenders.
Oh, and some of the earliest uses of HGTV.
Wim Wenders. Anyway.
I love their logo, the cleanliness of that.
I've been there. So their office, and they have a cafe underneath. So American Zoetrope is a cafe in San Francisco underneath what still their offices. And you can get Coppola wine there. And we should go.
I have been drunk on Coppola wine before.
It's delicious. But
my cousin and I bought it in Las Vegas. Yeah. And we were like, we're gonna have a couple drinks and go out. We drank 2 bottles of wine and we were pretty good.
Yeah. Rising Underdog says, "What dirt?" I've been there before. I've also been in the let's drink a bottle of wine at home to pregame so we don't spend too much money, and then we just go out and spend more money because we're drunk.
Oh, I've been in the boat where it's like, hey, we're gonna pregame. And then we just never leave the house because it's like, we got more. Let's just order food. Holy shit.
Appreciated this, though. The club I went to in New Zealand, they did these drinks where you get a teapot, like a little teapot you get at a Chinese restaurant. Mm-hmm. That was just full of like a really zombie punch kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And you just pour, the idea is you get that and some shot glasses and you just pour a bunch of shots of it for your friends and drink a bunch of it. My friend's way of doing it, which was brilliant, was everyone just got their own teapot and just fucking drank it. So we went on a bottle of wine, got teapot. I was dead that night. We got McDonald's at like 5 a.m. It was special. Rising Underdog said, what dirt must KK have that she never gets fired? That's a great fucking question because she has made, I mean, how many other CEOs, presidents of media, multimedia companies and whatnot have weathered so many missteps without being ousted?
It's straight up missteps because it's not like she's embroiled in something more nefarious. It's just constant incompetence.
It's just, hey, you're steering the ship. You're taking it in the absolute wrong direction. How many times are you going to let her run the ship aground before you take the wheel away from her? It's just common fucking sense. But Zaki Taquito 3 says, and thank you for your super chat. The best part of Disney Star Wars was the end credits. Yeah, because it was fucking over. Big fan of the channel, guys. Thank you, Zaki Taquito. Sent you an email, Jesse, about a project. If you take a look sometime. I did notice your email. I do got to take a read through. I would love to be help out if I can. It's about voiceover stuff, so I do want to take a look. I'm really interested in voiceover. I think we can probably. I've done some video recording here. I also have a friend who, if he lets me come over, which we've seen him, so probably
worst case scenario, we can set it up if we use the microphone I have.
Sure.
And I can edit, fix all the any of the pops or anything, and get you taken care of. You know what I kind of want to do tonight, and I don't think you'd be opposed? I want to bust out your your original trilogy that your fans sent you. I really want to watch Return of the Jedi, the original cut.
Okay.
I'm just dying to watch it.
The despecialized
Return of the Jedi, because somebody brought up Jedi Rocks as the most heinous Lucas special edition change. I won't agree. I think because it actually ruins a good moment. To me, Lopty Neck, which is the name of the song originally, is funky and fun, but it doesn't. You can cut that scene out. It doesn't take away anything from the main core of Star Wars.
My least favorite change is still the Han shot first. I'm talking specifically.
Oh, so you Return of the Jedi. I'm talking film for film. Han Solo shooting scene, and then Jabba the Hutt's existence in Episode 4.
But yeah, Han shooting is the most egregious thing because for me that just fundamentally changes the character in ways that are not good. That was the debate I had. One of the debates I had on Nerd Wars. I argued about how Rey has ruined the sequels and won that debate. And I also won the debate over Han shooting first and the McClunky scene in general.
To me, it's George Lucas doing this to the fans.
That is. There's a part of me that, like, even though I'm the recipient of that, where I can look at that gesture from his perspective and appreciate it a little bit. I mean, because you're talking, look, I think that he had a responsibility to be better, to be above the bullshit. Mm-hmm. That said, look at where we are, with the size of our channel, the amount of love and hate we get. And some people in the Phantom Menace get more hate than others. And some people in the Phantom Menace handle that hate better than others. And so seeing some people that I like and respect greatly that are close to me who have different relationships with negative feedback, as much as you want to say, be better, be bigger than it, not everybody is or can be. And so I don't nail him to the wall for selling and being disappointed and feeling disenfranchised and feeling like this thing was sort of taken away from him and having those reactions. Again, I think it is immature. I think it shows a lack of human growth on his end regarding his relationship with his creations. But at the same time, he is still human. I think we get into this mistake of assuming that because these people have achieved this greatness and we look at them as larger than life, that they're not, that there's something more than regular people, and that even you can say we hold them to higher standards, we want them to be better. I don't think it's necessarily realistic to assume that George Lucas has done any more self-work than any of the rest of us.
The only question I have, though, is what does that he's clearly only doing that because of the pushback, because what he wanted to achieve in 1977 wasn't, you could have done then.
Oh yeah,
there's nothing in that, because the bullshit excuse he gives of, this is something I always wanted to do, it was always this, it was always that, and people go, well, the script, it just has a puff of smoke. There is nothing in that scene that couldn't have been done 42 years ago.
Correct. So that's bullshit. All this other stuff with character design and throwing the CGI, I get it. He had this idea for how he wanted his world to work. He wanted to be this limitless a vessel of imagination where things could fly and zip and be whatever size.
But if you would have had the proper no man to tell him stuff, I would have said, let's just play this game real quick. If I was, let's say I had the power in 1995 when Lucas went, George, hear me out. And I would have said to him, first off, with the Hans, the extra stuff in Mos Eisley, you're supposed to be in the outskirts of nowhere. Luke Skywalker keeps talking about how it's nowhere. You should be the most podunk town. Remember when we went to where we stayed for wine country and at night there was nothing? Yeah. That should be like Tatooine is. There's just nothing. It closes at 9 o'clock. You have one mini mart. So to make it this sprawling world there, I think almost takes away from when you go to the Death Star and when you go to other parts of it, or even just make the fucking first appearance of the cantina be the big overflow of the aliens.
Hey, people.
That takes away. But
hey, here's this mecca in this otherwise shit-ass town.
Yes. Yeah. And the thing is, there are logical reasons why you could talk George Lucas out of it, but I just think he insulated himself. Yeah. Because you talk about his limitless world. I think he made a limitless world in his creations.
His mind, because you can already see, first of all, he was as KK told us, but you also see it in the release of the Faces version with the interview with I
used to love that guy.
Is how basically his brain was in the prequels, and you see, all the little slapstick shit he adds in Mos Eisley. It looks like the pit droids in when you go back and Phantom Menace and all that stuff.
Or the most offensive one is the Ronto. And here's the thing, George Lucas is the guy that always wants to tweak these movies. Mm-hmm. Why couldn't he have tweaked the effects to match? Because that's my complaint. Sure. I don't mind you putting in new effect shots. They don't match the old ones because, remember Remember when the Millennium Falcon gets away from the TIE fighter? There's no score.
Yeah.
There's just a couple shots of it flying towards not Alderaan, Yavin 4.
Yeah.
There are a couple shots of CGI, and then it goes to the model. The CGI is dirty and grimy and whatever, but then it goes right to the model, which is a little cleaner. Why couldn't Lucas just redo all the shit?
Sure, add the grime to the original shots. Exactly.
But
Don't
that's
be
my
lazy
complaint.
about it.
He's so lazy. It's a half-assed attempt.
I think some of it too, a little bit, was that you have to think about the limitations of time. I did want to. We did have a super chat. I don't want to skip it. Lost Jedi 22 says the no is the worst thing of the special editions. Like I said, I think that's a heinous. I think it's a heinous edition, unnecessary edition. But I do, for me, it's the Han one, just because
anyone that changes a character, because what did we watch? The morning show. One of the best lines of the morning show is all of life's passion happens in whatever. The life scene happens in the smallest passionate moment. When Steve Carell's talking about how you can't ask for consent on everything.
Yeah.
Some of life's beautiful moments happen in the heat of passion or something.
Yeah.
Some of the best Star Wars moments happen in these small little snippets that make these characters stand out forever.
Exactly.
And with Han shooting first, that's one of them. Darth Vader's internal conflict, but the fact that you add the no takes away the internal conflict. Luke screaming when he jumps off into the pit on Cloud City and stuff. Like all these little changes that Lucas made that he thinks are good are really basically, if the original trilogy and most of George Lucas's career is a series of home runs, these are fucking strikeouts constantly. He hasn't done anything to make anything better in 25 years.
True. Now, what I'll say too. So, drop us in the chat. Let us know what you think is the worst change. Monkey Jeebus.
I thought that was an excellent. I would be okay if even Disney said we have one more cut of Star Wars we're going to put out, and they made all the effects seamless and match, and you didn't have that bullshit. Because this is a controversial take. I think you should always have the original cut. Mm-hmm. But I think if George Lucas made a cut, the special edition was I fixed all the effects that looked bad, I cleaned up stuff, and I didn't change any of the story. So we're not talking any censorship, anything. Just straight up effect shots were fixed, mats were cleaned, this, that, and the other.
Sure.
I don't think you'd have a bad pushback, and I don't think people would be as upset.
Katar and Lenny is going for Qatar and Lenny is going for Jedi Rocks is the worst one. But let us know, guys, what you think the worst one is. And if you're just joining us, make sure you press the like button. We do have a special treat tonight. We do have Indiana Jones Mad Libs for you in a little bit.
They finally showed up. Can you tell me what picture that movie's from?
That's Raiders, isn't it? He's in the snake page in with the snakes holding up the torch. I know
You can always tell too. His hat's got the biggest. It's the biggest hat.
Okay. The biggest one.
He wears different hats.
I know. I did notice the change in the brim size.
Plus, Harrison Ford is way skinny in this movie. And
he is. He's super bulky. I was gonna say even the difference. He's still bulkier in Last Crusade. He's obviously the biggest in Temple because he's the most run around with his shirt off. But Rising Underdog says that Jabba CGI in New Hope was atrocious. That's a fix. I mean, if you're gonna leave it in, at least fucking fix it.
I don't think it should be.
It should be in. No. But if you're gonna have it in, fucking fix it. Rising Underdog, agree completely. The only thing I like about that scene is because then you get to hear I think it's funny. You have the originals. No, the original source. That line was just too awkward for me. Like it took you out. That for me is a line always took me out of the world because it's like, it just, you don't, in the original universe, you don't draw a lot of attention to humans versus something else.
Do they ever call anyone by their race in Star Wars?
Occasionally, like many Bothans were lost or something like that.
And Chewbacca, he does call Chewbacca a Wookiee.
But they also refer to Han as a Corellian, too. Because that's the one thing is like, human being doesn't really mean anything because a Corellian is different than, let's say, Mandalorians are human, a Mandalorian, or they don't even, where are you from? Luke's from Tatooine. No one ever's like, Luke, the human boy, Luke, the kid from Tatooine. Like, where you're from means more. But you also have that distinction of like American born versus coming into it of like, I'm a Mayflower American versus like I'm an American with Latino history, heritage or whatnot.
We're all Americans.
I'm a human with Corellian blood. People say I'm a Corellian. Like they identify as kind of that.
Can I say one thing that might upset you?
What?
If I had the magical ability to change one thing, Han shot first, or the Jawa scene doesn't exist, Jawa scene's going away. I think it does more damage to the movie itself. Han's character definitely suffers from Han shooting second, but I think Star Wars is actually a lesser film with the Jabba the Hutt scene.
I can't agree because first of all, you have to watch. I mean, for me, they all are kind of one big piece, but you still have to get all the way to the last movie for that that impact to really stick.
Mhm.
Whereas I think that taking that away from Han diminishes his arc even from the very beginning.
But I also think it's, when I was talking about just the movie itself, it's a redundant scene that literally adds nothing.
It is. I mean, literally, they reuse a sound clip from that. That's why. As I say, that's what I lose if you take that scene away. Is the part where even I get bored. Sometimes is used in the original source. That's why I like watching the scene. Is like that's the source of that sound. That scene.
I just think it's dumb. You want to talk about making Han Solo and Jabba the Hutt doofish? Han steps on his tail. Jabba's the kind of guy that the lady wasn't dancing sexy enough, so he just kills her because she pulled the chain. So he gets to step on his tail,
now,
and these bounty hunters don't
see
do
the way I
it.
looked at that scene though, and the way I looked at it, the lens I looked at it growing up when I went, or it's from '95 on when it was introduced, which still wasn't the version I watched. I never even remember. I saw the special editions once when they were in theaters, and then not again until I was in college. And because when I was home, I just watched Our Faces trilogy, on the tapes.
I feel like
never
we should
got
get a
the DVDs
copy of that
until
for this apartment, just to have. We're not going to watch it.
Just to have. I'm down. So I don't need So I that was all. That was still sort of newer to me in my Star Wars experience. My relationship is with the original ones, but again, younger and looking at it, for me, I never had that feeling, well, this detracts, because I had those questions. I was like, wow, how come he, this fearsome mob boss that he's so afraid of in the final one, how come he's stepping on his tail in this one? My takeaway from that was just Han is that much of a badass and that good of a pilot, that valuable of a pilot, that Jabba is willing to give him that leeway and let him take that second chance because he's that good and that powerful.
I think it also throws it away too, because Jabba's all about the money, right?
Yeah.
Han Solo offered him triple. You're throwing away a bargain here.
Well,
I'm sarcastically joking. No, I do like that specific scene though.
Yeah.
Like, Jabba, pay double, pay triple.
Don't be a fool.
Yeah, because the thing is, the rebels, he had the money to pay off.
Sure.
But I feel bad for Han, because Han's always trying to do the right thing. In A New Hope, he's trying to pay off his debts, but he stops to help Luke and save the day.
Do the writer thing.
I'm gonna go pay off Jabba. Well, I gotta save the princess and make sure she gets out.
And all he gets is shit for that.
Yeah, nobody really respects Han.
No good deed goes unpunished. That's why just take that perspective though. You're talking about the man. So you're talking about the guy that Jabba gave, and maybe that's the whole, because again, you can just build that. It doesn't have to detract from his mythos. You can build into it more that this was the one guy that Jabba gave all this leeway to, kept giving deadline extensions. He even all in front of all those bounty hunters, still, insulted him in that way. And all because he was going to be the guy who came through. He's going to make Jabba rich and all this stuff. And so at the end of the day, when he doesn't come through on the money, it's like, now I got to make an example of him. Because he was my boy, he was my pet. Everyone knew I had this soft spot for him. Now people have to know. So he becomes this more wrathful thing, which is why he's not going to take any money in return for him, and he's just going to keep him as his property. Because at the end of the day, bitches got to know what happens when you cross them, and no amount of fondness and no amount of talent, no amount of money is going to pay for that insult to his honor.
The payment is baby hands.
Payment is Whitey's got to pay, and the payment is baby hands. See, wasn't that delightful?
It actually was. We were making meatball subs and watching
Llamas with hats. I fucking love that shit. What, Carl? What is wrong with you? Well, I kill people in 8 hands, so I guess that's 2 things. Fucking love that shit.
That was fun,
dude.
It is nice talking about the older internet stuff.
It is fun. We keep doing that every it's sometimes in the evenings between a watching episode of a show or before or after watching a movie. We'll just hey, remember this? No, what the fuck is that? Oh,
So this is a deep cut. I don't think anyone in the chat's going to know, but we watch Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. I showed her 2 episodes.
Fucking God.
It fucks with Jesse's head. She goes, what are we watching? And she can't comprehend how,
F in the chat to pay respects for my soul for being put through this.
All right, press 1 in the chat if you've heard of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. And press F in the chat for Jesse's soul.
And going board, Sean Firefart knows what's up. Llamas with Hats is the bomb. Speaking of Llamas with Hats, I got to bring Dr. Stephen. Oh, fuck. Dr. Stephen Cross soon on here one of these days.
Oh, I can't wait to hang out with him. That is, of all your fencing friends, he's my favorite. He's a good dude.
I haven't watched Letterkenny yet. I've watched, I think I remember the full first episode at the beginning of it. Isn't it on?
It's on Hulu, but I mean,
Hulu or something? Yeah.
Nick sent it to me.
All
right, so
Cash Kester's about that
Cash
life.
Kester loves, oh my God, yes.
Zach and Obi-Wan got my back.
Dark Place.
I just can't.
Dean Lerner, holy shit.
I cannot contemplate. I cannot wrap my head around why it exists.
That is what I want to create. For our World Class Bullshitter show, it's got to be what the perfect ideal show for us would be: a skit segment reminiscent of Chappelle Show, Key and Peele, or like an absurdist part, like a Garth Marenghi's Dark Place or a Mighty Boosh, where there's a narrative, but it's also surreal, and then it goes into like skits and stuff. I just want something so bizarre that people like, I can't stop watching this show.
It's like a commentary on a documentary about a show.
Exactly.
It's like, what the fuck is happening?
It's the greatest thing ever made, because you're like, I don't know if I want to watch it, and it starts, you go,
what?
What?
It's a fictitious commentary on a fictitious documentary about a fictitious show. It is too many levels of showception.
His name is not Garth Marenghi or Dr. Rick Daggett.
I know. Why do they say it's a fictitious commentary on a fictitious documentary about a fictitious show? I figured that much. I'm not a retard. My head is being wrapped around the why. It's, again, I think I said this too when we were watching it. I get the how, scratching my head as to the why. What was that from? What is that a paraphrase for? Oh, it's from Firefly. Firefly. I get the how. I'm scratching my head as to the why.
No, but what was... Speaking of wrap your head around your face, that animation I made you watch.
God, fuck you.
Bill Plimpton's the man.
All Jeff does is like, here, let me destroy your psyche. It's a good thing you've never done acid, because you'd be having a flashback right now.
We should watch I Married a Crazy Person. It's a whole movie that looks like that animation. And it's bizarre.
No, thank
shit.
you.
Yeah.
I'm good. That stuff freaks me out. Unedited footage of a bear. I was saying, speaking of bears, though, I'd watch Grizzly Man. I was like, we should get really high and watch a Werner Herzog documentary. His voice is so soothing. I'm sure it'd be even more soothing. Basically, I'm at the point of quarantine where I'm contemplating how much I should start getting high in my future. Because I'm like, what's press Mal to pay respects to Firefly. Yeah. Damn straight, chat. Press Mal. And pay your respects to Shibigi. That's his original name.
Yeah, original name. Now known as
I'm at the point where it's like I feel like we've exhausted all of our, what can we do from our house? We should watch this. We should watch that. We should do this. We should. And
There's
I'm at the point of like
thing that doesn't get boring.
What? Oh yeah, well that obviously. Yeah. Now I'm at the point of like, remember that thing we did? We should get high and try and see if it makes it better.
One day we'll try that.
I mean, we do have like 3 dispensaries in a mile of our house. So when we decide that day has come, it's not the ability to do it. It's the, being responsible adults. That's stuff.
Well, now that I got
don't do drugs, kids.
Now that I got this book thing taken care of, once I ship them out, we should have a big party and celebrate.
Yes. What are the ethics of getting really high and doing a live stream where the audience where you're like winking it at the audience so they know, but you haven't actually stated out loud on YouTube that you're on drugs?
I mean, if it's for the sake of entertainment, I think everyone's cool with it.
Because I know, like, there's the advertiser thing if you show drugs or whatnot. But if I go on Twitter and I'm like, yo, if you stoned like fuck watching weird shit on my channel, come join us. And what if I don't even monetize to begin with? I don't have to worry about kids, Because I could do a stream. We could do a stream where we just get like really high and find stuff that's weird and funny and just have the audience be sold stone reaction stream, which is the 2 of us sitting here going,
dark place, dark place, dark place, dark place.
What that fucking intro? I hate that intro. All right, drop a 1 in the chat.
Don't you love though when he's running with the baby and jumps over and you?
He also looks like 3 times fatter in that shot than like anywhere else.
It might be a stunt double. Maybe. How do you stunt double for Garth Marenghi though?
How do you?
I'm the only man to have written more books than I've read.
In a disguise. So say it's a skit, pretend to be Cheech. There you go. No one can be Cheech and Chong as well as Tom and Rob though.
You have to be Cheech.
1 in the chat if you guys want to watch us get high and react to shit on this live stream.
Everyone already pressed 1.
Everyone's like, I'm in. I don't even need to know the question.
He says break quarantine for a barbecue.
It's tempting, brother. It's really tempting.
I really wish barbecued food could just be delivered outside of our door because no place around here offers it.
That's not true. I don't know if they do it on any of the delivery services, but we can fix this.
What is the place?
God, look how long its legs are.
Oh, was that your pancake?
No, I think it's Jane Lynn.
That is Jane Little the way he sits.
The way he lies down.
Because he's looking. He's our only cat that like gives it his instincts. Because he's like hunting
for everything at all times.
The way he pounces.
Well, old Mayor's out, but everyone else is in. You just have to, in order for it to make sense, you just have to be high with us. There you go. Brett Laramess, as long as it's not on camera. There you go.
Blaze up and watch Church of the Subgenius recruitment video. All
right, Cole, we're gonna leave that to you if we ever do a high stream. Obi-Wan, that is very true. Hey, Mary Mayhem lurking and working. Love y'all. I'll press up all press. Oh, press the like button. Do it. What's up, Mary? Thank you. Hope you had a great Toxic Femme stream earlier. I will be on Toxic Femininity next Monday. I will be on next Monday. So you should watch and then come over here because I'll be streaming right afterwards. But thanks, Mary. We had a great time on Shenanigans. We got to meet her man, Caffeinated Wolf, for the first time.
Hang out with Tom and Rob.
Hang out with Tom and Rob. It's a great time. We had a really good time.
Do improv.
We got to do fun improv. We want to have Caffeinated Wolf on. We're going to do a double date with Mary and Caffeinated Wolf. We'll just figure out some fun date activities that we can do online.
Was it a stream?
Yeah, stream. Double date stream. We're
That'll be our first.
We'll have some fun, make it a fun stream for you guys tonight. Mostly we'll, Mary Meltdown tonight. Now I want to go back and figure it out. We'll find out what happened. We'll just make fun of Weasel Queef the whole time.
Weasel Queef.
You had to be there. Queef. So just take things way, way back for a second before we jump into Mad Libs and wrap this night up. I do want to say, if you look at it, right, at first 3 episodes of The Mandalorian were so pure in there. I mean, granted, they didn't branch out to the rest of the world or not, or whatnot, but those are the ones Favreau wrote that he wrote before he took them to the studio, before the studio had got grubby little paws in it and realized, ooh, this is fun, we can play. And then you bring in Filoni, and now you start getting the member berries popping up a little more than you would have liked. And now we're finding out all this shit getting jammed in where, Lucasfilm basically found it. They're always looking for the next thing to fuck in the ass with all their nostalgia. And they're like, what a great, unblemished, tight virgin asshole that we can take all this shit and just shove it in. Like, that's not where the shit goes, guys. It's supposed to come out of the asshole. Are you upset by my metaphor?
I'm not upset. I'm just confused because it's collapsing on itself like a prolapsed anus.
You shoved all the stuff in. When realistically, that's not how assholes work. Stuff's supposed to come out of them.
Okay, well, it's garbage in, garbage out.
So you're ruining the asshole of the beautiful virgin asshole of the Mandalorian, and now it will never be the same. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure the Mandalorian does have a virgin asshole. It doesn't seem like the type of guy to experiment.
True, but I think that's all about to end. He's gonna have to get used to it without lube real quick. So I think personally, with my current, not to be the doom and gloom person, I personally believe that season 2 is going to be.
My bad.
It's about to be. Season 2 is going to be the. Mando's going to jump the shark.
I said that on many of my videos. That'll be the make or break point, and I think it'll be the break point because what's going to happen with the Mandalorian? You're going to have season 2 come out. You're going to have all this glorious merchandise. People are going to be high on it, and I think the show's going to turn off some people. But I also do think you will have that influx of normies that came in like, oh, this is so cool.
Normies were like, I thought Rise of Skywalker was pretty cool. I'm supposed to like this now. You'll have the holdouts because there's always going to be the people in denial. Like Jeremy, the first 3 times he saw the Last Jedi and wanted to like it so badly.
Wait, he saw it 3 times.
He saw it 3 times and didn't discover until the end of the 3rd viewing that he actually hated it.
I thought he liked The Force Awakens.
No, the Last Jedi. He had to watch it 3 times before he realized he hated it. He liked The Force Awakens. He defended The Force Awakens well into shitting on The Last Jedi. When I met him, he was still kind of defending The Force Awakens a little bit. Or at least admitting that he liked it when it first came out. Wemerson, Jesus, says hi from Brazil. I'm assuming it's Jesus, but it's funnier if it's Jesus. What's up, Brazil? Dana Schwartz said married to a meltdown tonight. Ooh, fun stuff. There you go, Obi-Wan. Keep it that way. Those virginal butts. Hide your butts. Hide your assholes.
Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to your butts. Thanks, Samuel. But yeah. I
like how our debate just turned into a big discussion. We kind of were on the same team the whole time.
Basically. But yeah, I think...
Hi, Caffeinated Wolf.
Just like Cash Kessler drinks a Kool-Aid of the Force Awakens, you'll have some people who just will stay in denial. Oh, Caffeinated Wolf's here. What's up, Weasel Queef? Lurking in the chat. So what you're saying is you and Mary are sexting right now. Gotcha.
Why don't you go back to something like that important, and we'll just, we'll talk about Star Wars. You guys have something better.
Keep sexting. We won't distract you. Whatchamacallit? What was I saying? I missed your super chat, Beth. No. Here it is. Wet wiener. I'll see myself out now. Oh God. Thanks, Beth. I'm gonna put this in here right away.
I think I'm going to start doing something. You know how people use the phrase "wet your whistle"? I'm going to intentionally say "wet my wiener."
Wet your wiener.
Yeah, like
wet your wiener, guys.
Wet my wiener. What?
All right.
Just throw people off.
We're gonna.
So can I say one thing right after you write that down?
Wet wiener, because Beth said so, and we do love Beth.
Now,
so
folks,
much.
I'd like to present to you this awesome Mad Lib book we got for what, a penny?
Finish making my point.
Oh,
I was
sorry,
just excited that I was sad we missed the
Okay.
super chat,
Go.
but I wanted to make my point that about assholes and stuff. Now I don't remember what my fucking point was. It was about assholes and shit hitting the fan and member berries.
Assholes are like opinions. They're all full of shit and they stink.
No, it was all about something and it was all sounded smart and stuff and
You know you can blame, right?
that bitch Carl Baskin.
Garth Marenghi.
I was gonna blame that bitch Carl fucking Baskin. But I think season 2 is gonna shit the bed. It's gonna jump the shark. They blew it, ruined it. It's gonna be terrible.
You sound like what's his name? Charlton Heston in Planet of the Apes. You ruined it! God damn you, son of hell! There we go.
What was I forgetting to say? I got you, Beth, though. That's the important part. I got you. I don't remember now. Fuck! Well, if I remember, I'll say it, but it's over.
Well, I just wanted to present our Indiana Jones Mad Lib. Now, it was sold to us as a new book.
Thanks, Thomas Troutman, for hooking us up.
Yeah.
We appreciate you.
You gotta love Amazon. And this kid filled in. It could be a stupid man, actually. But
I'm gonna, before I read the finished product, I'm gonna read the first few sentences. I'm not gonna read it now because I want you to know what the story is. But eventually, I'm gonna read the first few sentences with the original words that were in there. So do better, chat.
Now, folks, do your worst. This is Indiana Jones after
Indiana Jones Mad Libs. So we know the rules. Every third word goes to the chat because it's me, Jeff, and the chat contributing. We already got Wet Wiener from Beth Degoo, the best. And she's going, yeah, so we're going to continue. The chat, you're going to start out, you're going to be very happy, chat. You're going to start with a part of the body. But then Jeff gets a verb. So you don't always go last of the rotation because if I'm in, I was for myself after you.
Okay.
So.
I'll say verb, person, place, or thing.
So you get every third.
Verb is an excellent word.
You get every third chat. Also, super chats overtake the things and stuff.
So verb I have?
You have a verb.
As an ing or any verb?
Not ing. Specifically not ing. Only
okay.
ing if it asks for it. But the same verb without the ing on the end is fine.
Dick. Like you dick somebody over?
All right. There you go. Dick somebody. I feel like Jane Little was the one who originally derailed my train of thought.
Because it's so Panther-like.
He's so cute. Zach Blackfire says butthole. We know how that one turns out. All right, I have a noun. I'm going to go with beer.
That sounds delicious.
It's a good noun.
If you could have any beer in your hand right now, what would it be?
Any beer, Dragon's Milk. Butthole, heart cavity. Heart cavity is a good one. We've never done that one before. I'm going to take heart cavity. So when I'm playing, guys, we're going to take it really rapid fire from the chat because I'm playing and it goes quicker since there's fewer people to talk and I have to engage and think. And I am going to give you guys a nice long time to come up with plural nouns while Jeff thinks of a noun because I really have to pee and I thought it could wait, but it can't. So 123, 1, 2, 3 watchers. Lose them all, bitches.
Let's see. Nouns. I remember.
Look at my short shirt.
Like, oh, God, I'm really
Oh, my God. Thank you so much for adjusting your position to help me get out of this table.
Your shorts are so short.
Shut up!
No, they look great. Actually, you just gained us a viewer while walking away. I know, right? So I'm supposed to entertain the folks. Why Temple of Doom is better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull? That's an easy one. Looks just like underwear. You're not wrong, Bobby. You're not wrong. Obi-Wan, I like your idea for a Lucasfilm, your Lucasfilm that you're hiring. Would you keep the name Lucasfilm or would you call it Obi-Wan film? I don't know. Lucasfilm's fine. I've never really been one of those people that wants to name everything after myself, but that's what George Lucas wants to do. Thankfully, he didn't call the movie Lucas Wars. That'd be a lot better. What's up, Paul Godin? How you doing tonight? So what do I have? A noun? By the way, Indiana Jones is so much better than Han Solo. Just saying. Just saying. So I have a noun. Okay. I got my word. Lucasfilm is fine. Okay. Jesse?
Yo.
I have my word.
Yeah.
It's a noun, correct?
Yeah.
Cracker.
Why are you talking about me like that, huh?
Don't tell everyone how our relationship goes.
Why you be talking about me? I have Jane Little.
Hi, Jane.
Not so little.
He's actually oddly big today. Like,
Very
I feel like you've grown.
Unicorn farts. Gummy worms.
Jesse flashed.
I didn't flash anyone.
You showed a butt cheek.
It can't be helped.
Ow! Jane, claws. Ow.
Sorry, Jane.
Anyway,
Okay.
Cracker is my name.
Cracker. All right, let me get you hooked up. I'm just going to pull this
There you go.
down. Plural nouns. We got, I like, no, not but. I like unicorn farts. That's funny. Gummy worms. Deep fried butthole rings, of course. You said cracker
Yeah.
with a C or a K.
What's with a K?
That's the racial version. You never heard that?
No.
Cracker with a K? That's how you do spell.
Oh, well, because I don't speak in racial slurs. I meant the food.
Okay, fine. I'm
Or
gonna go
a
with,
whip cracker. Indiana Jones.
I'm gonna go with jizz. Jizz sounds good. Headcase Laboratory says Boba needs black lightsaber for Mandalorian. Okay,
Maybe
that
he'll
would be
steal-
kind of cool.
Maybe he'll steal
looking.
from Moff Gideon, who has that not lightsaber.
I think that would be kind of cool though. Watch Boba Fett swing around with black lightsaber. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah. Was I still on about my asshole metaphor before I lost my train of thought?
You gave it up
I was
completely.
done with the
We're
asshole
just playing the
metaphor.
game.
I know, but I was trying to remember what it was now. I'm trying to remember if I was still in my asshole metaphor about stuffing.
Can you just change the name of the stream to Asshole Metaphor?
Asshole metaphor.
You should actually have a stream called Asshole Metaphor. We have a million people watching. Like, what's an asshole metaphor? We just go with
All right.
metaphors for assholes.
Plural nouns. Well, we got. I guess we're gonna take deep fried butthole rings because no one's really come up with anything else. So
Yeah.
you're all distracted by my butt. That's like 2 adjectives. Well, really 1 deep fried, I guess. Butthole. That's so many words for 1 word. You're supposed to get 1, and you get 1,000 of them. Lucky you. Deep fried butthole rings. Okay, chat. You're getting another plural noun, so keep working on that for me. Jeff, a verb ending in ing, if you please.
Dying.
Always a solid choice.
Yeah.
I have a plural noun. Leprechauns.
You say leprechauns?
Leprechauns.
Oh, I'm the leprechaun. I'm gonna get you.
All right. Butt cheeks. Very butt-centric.
I mean, you just showed the internet your butt.
Nose goblins. Is that like face pets?
Maybe. It's like nose candy.
Oh, one of these days, my plural nouns gonna be face pets.
Should be. And mine will be nose candy.
You know, unicorn glitter farts, codfish, cloaca. That's nice. For those who don't know what a cloaca is, it's a chicken's everything hole. Their eggs and their crap come out of the same hole.
So
Emus, ball sacks, snake pits. That's appropriate.
yeah, but how crazy would it be to see Indiana Jones fight unicorn glitter farts?
Is that what you want? You want unicorn glitter farts?
You pick the chat one.
Well, I guess I'm taking it.
Wait, she just said a
I
super
know.
chat for it. Yep.
She's unicorn glitter farts. It is.
Da-da-da.
We're really going liberal with our use of a word tonight.
What about ball ass? Remember ball ass from last week?
Ball ass. I remember 5011. Still my favorite number.
Best number in the universe. Forget number 42.
right.
It's 5011.
Jeff, you're finishing us off with a plural noun.
Ooh,
It wouldn't be sad if you said face plants.
you would?
I wouldn't be.
I feel like that should be you to use it, though.
Okay.
Plural noun.
Mhm.
What
if someone just tuned in and they were like, what's happening on this show? And they just see unicorn glitter farts and slow turtle candy ass farts and ball ass. We'd be like, what the fuck is this chat?
Oh, God, I just had one and I lost my train of thought. Plural noun. Blah, 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 blah. Gilded dildos.
Everyone with their extra words.
Just call them dildos.
No. All right, I got to fill this in so you guys, talk amongst yourself. Jeff's just going to sing for you. Let me read you. So the original version, first half of the story is filled out by this child. Does that say green? Is that what we're going with?
Is there a V in green?
I can't tell if that's supposed to be green or grieven.
What would it make sense though in the context of the story?
None of it makes sense.
Maybe we shouldn't even read this kid's
X never marks the spot except when it does. Never trust anyone who likes to grieven in his or her sleep. You can lose your whip spelled WIP. But always keep your hat on your head. This child was doing Mad Libs wrong. The pen is mightier than the pen. Always help out a person in need.
A person in need. You got a piece in me.
All right, so that's what he learned from Indiana Jones. Because, by the way, the title of this one is Everything I Ever Needed to Know I Learned from Indiana Jones. Can you say that's the case with your life?
When it comes to religion, maybe. I learned a lot about the Old Testament through Raiders of the Lost Ark.
I just generally learned a lot about I learned a lot about life. I did learn a lot of my life lessons from Indiana Jones, I think. I think Indiana Jones taught me a lot about morality.
I think Doc Brown taught me the most about morality. When he goes, I figured, what the hell? So there we go. That's my whole mentality. Jeff, why did you do that? Well, I figured, what the hell?
There you go. I dig it.
That movie so much. I was so excited to pre-order those figures today.
Deep
fried
butthole rings.
Matthew, that's a fantastic moment in Last Crusade. When we did our Indiana Jones drunk commentaries, there was not a dull moment. That to me is the trilogy where it's like every moment's a high moment. There's nothing bad in any of the films. I mean, I can't think of another trilogy that's that solid for me that just never
because
slows down.
Indiana Jones is one of those things where like there's no moment. That's my relationship with Star Wars, although you can go through at least the special edition changes and be like, ugh. But Star Wars is one. Lord of the Rings is one for me too, and Indiana Jones. There are a few with Gladiator, fucking Mission Impossible too. I love that movie. There's some of those movies where like there's no moment. Even in some movies I love, there are moments where I'm like, I'm gonna tune this part out. Like out of this part.
Well, I was only talking trilogy, but I meant like if we're doing specific movies. Oh yeah, there's tons of those like that for me.
Yeah, that's definitely. I know. I think for sure with a trilogy, a longer period, that one's like. Okay, yes.
It used to be that was the perfect film series for me because there's literally not a bad moment. Can't say that about Bond.
But there are plenty of movies that I really like that are good movies. Like I'll say even Fight Club. I'll tune out sometimes if I'm doing other things or whatnot. The scene where Marla tries to kill herself. Like once he goes over to her house, I love all the shit where he's on the phone and Tyler is crashing the bike and shit like that. But when he actually goes over to her apartment, like I could tune out for a lot of that scene. Like a lot of the Marla stuff I can, tune in or out of.
No, Obi-Wan, the Back to the Future trilogy isn't as solid as the Indiana Jones trilogy. Not even close. Back to the Future 2 has bad moments. There we go. Back to the Future 2. I love Back to the Future 1. Wouldn't change a single frame.
Yeah.
But Back to the Future 2 has moments I don't like. Back to the Future 3 is mostly consisting of moments I don't like. So for as much as I love Back to the Future, I just need the first one.
That's fair.
How many trilogies are like that for you, or film series where you just want one specific film and you don't need the rest? For me, it's definitely Beverly Hills Cop, definitely Back to the Future, definitely Die Hard, not Indiana Jones. Star Wars is another one. I don't need Empire and Jedi. I'm very happy with just that.
I'm going to severely lose all of my street cred right now. You ready? I'm going to lose all my street cred. There was a series of books I read when they first came out, before they were a gigantic cultural phenomenon, that I really enjoyed. And I think, because of the way the first one ended, which I don't even know if it ended, I don't think it ended the same way in the movie with the same way that it did. It had been a great one-off, never need to become a movie, never need to become a cultural phenomenon, never need to become all the things that it was. But if Stephenie Meyer had quit after the first Twilight book.
Oh, I thought you were going to say The Hunger Games.
No. I'm not ashamed to say. I didn't read those when I was younger. I read those when the movies came out. I enjoyed the shit out of the books. The movies were fine. I did not they got progressively worse for me. I thought the first two films were pretty okay adaptations of the books. Some things that changed. I never liked Josh Hutcherson as PETA.
What's his name?
Josh Hutcherson. The Hutch. Goodness!
I was waiting for you to do it down there.
Goodness, I love you! Goodness!
That's something we do in our
You guys are
everyday
seeing
life.
way too much of our bedroom life right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so straight up though, when I was 15 and read Twilight for the first time and no one really knew what it was, which is this vampire novel, I was the right age for it, read it, finished it. The movies were always, Obi-Wan, for the very first one, the movies were terrible. I'm not talking about the movies, I'm talking about the books in this case, where I finished the first book, it ends on sort of a cliffhanger where you don't know.
Bella Thorne, right?
What?
Bella Thorne, that's her name?
No, Bella Swan.
Oh. Bella Thorne's a real person.
Okay. Where you just don't know at the end of it whether
it was good or not.
Whether it ends with her wanting him to turn her into a vampire so he can be with her forever, she can be with him forever, and him resisting the idea of it, and then it's like, and he pressed his lips to her throat, and you don't know if he kisses her, or bites her, or whatever. And it could have just ended right there, and you never knew. And you can go off on your merry way, imagining Bella became a vampire, or didn't. It was a one-off, and no one needed anything else. Didn't need movies, and need fucking Taylor Lautner or any of that shit. So,
while you finish writing this, I'd like to add a Nerf class. Oh, he said the Matrix earlier.
Oh, Matrix is one, definitely.
See, Jaws is one of those weird things though, where it doesn't even. It's one story from a book.
Tremors.
Hey, Tremors had some good sequels, man. Burt Gummer. I was gonna say Burt Gummer. That's it.
But Jaws is, I think, an excellent point. Matrix is an excellent point. Yeah.
See, like if you just say Jeff, Lethal Weapon. Well, I think 2's the best one. I think one of the best debates out there is Last Crusade versus Raiders.
One thing that I think did it right, weirdly, I've talked about this before. I'm actually weirdly grateful now, where I am now as a person. And yeah, I always get riled up with the rumors that it's coming back. It's never coming back. Firefly. It's almost a blessing that it ended when it did, because as much as I would have loved Firefly, don't insult Sean.
Okay.
As much as I would have loved another 1,000 seasons, it was probably only going to go downhill. Now, I like some of the things they want to introduce in this. I'm sure you could write another decent season or two. If I could go back in time and say, let's make Firefly 5 seasons of a movie, do it. Nowadays, though, I think it's like Star Wars. We passed that mark where you could bring everyone back and it would still be good. First of all, Ron Glass died.
Yes.
So you can't have that. Realistically, if you were going to follow from Serenity, he's dead in the movie anyway, so I guess that makes sense. But
but without Wash,
it just feels weird. Like, I think once they made Serenity, I think they really closed that door. Unless you were going to go make some kind of prequel series, like season 2 follows directly after season 1, but it's before the events of Serenity. But you'd lose out a lot because having the river mystery would sort of make her character pointless.
What about a prequel before the river and her brother come on? If you had to.
I could do a miniseries of that, I could do a miniseries where there's Out of Gas where they do the backstories for every member of the crew.
Yeah.
I could do a miniseries where it was 9 episodes and every crew member got their
I like how you call 9 episodes a miniseries when that's almost as many episodes
as the actual series was. Yeah, I realized when I said the number. Well, you need fewer than that because you wouldn't need one for Simon and River because we introduced them in the show, or Shepard. So that's, those are the passengers. So you only really need. And I think the first one would be Mal and Zoe meeting in the war. So you have Mal and Zoe meeting in the war, and then your next episode would be, or whoever I don't remember who they found first. You have the whole Bester Cayley thing, or the mechanic that they don't keep on. Would be, an episode, and Wash would be an episode then, and I think even Inara could be an episode. I think she could hold it down. Jane would be an episode. So a little, miniseries there.
I'm with you though. I wouldn't really want more of that. I think I'm cool with the way it is.
I like where it is. I think once you made Serenity, it was a beautiful way that you got everyone to come back and wrap up the story, but you're done. The comics that come out, I think, are great, are fun, that explore the universe and stuff like that. Prequel about the war, Emperor 9. I could watch. I don't know if I could do a whole movie about the war or a whole series about the war. I just think that simply because I think we get enough of it, and enough of it's because so many events. I think if you don't have the message with Tracy, I think if you don't have.
Is that the dead guy?
Okay. All the shots, the pot shots that Mark Shepard's character takes, that Jane takes at Mal for still being the sergeant. I'm getting to the point where it's weird to talk about Jane in the context of a character because of our cat. I got that with Lando ages ago. It's so weird to me to talk about Lando.
But you know what's safe? There'll never be a film character named Ship Pancake.
He's ours forever.
We own Ship Pancake. Look at him. He's moving now.
No, Ship Pancake. He's alive. Hooray. Hooray for you.
Instead of Johnny Five is alive, Ship Pancake lives. That should be a Mindless Entertainment shirt. Ship Pancake lives.
It should just be a shirt with his face on it that says hello. And instead of on the back saying Mindless Entertainment, just in that font saying Ship Pancake. The Ship Pancake shirt. You make the Ship Pancake shirt. But yeah,
RoboCop's another one.
I think I think that the war motif is too explored in the show to satisfyingly give us a long take. Now, again, one episode, maybe, instead of Mal getting a introductory episode, you get an episode where he meets Zoe and Tracy, or, have Tracy. I would watch in a Meeting Zoe episode, Tracy's character have a big part. But I don't know that I could do a whole, especially at least if it followed Mal. Now, if you wanted to take some other characters and follow them through the war, maybe. Play in that universe, I think there's more room to play in the Firefly universe. just not with that storyline.
I have no interest in any of it, not to be contrarian. Just Firefly exists because it reminds me of like that of August and all the stuff we did together, and I like it in that context, but I also like that there's no more.
I do like
it can't be sullied any further.
I agree. I appreciate that you're never gonna hurt it. I do appreciate that. But kind of the one thing you said earlier about them not really mining Lord of the Rings. I hope that this show is not them starting because there's so much to do. But that's the thing is there's so much more they can still do. Clearly, no one's figured out how to make a mainstream Silmarillion. The Silmarillion is basically like the Bible of the Lord of the Rings world. Like if you were to read the Silmarillion reads like if you were to read the Bible as like an accurate history of this earth, the Silmarillion kind of is that for Lord of the Rings. Okay. It's like the actual history, but it's very much the mythical sort of start, their first bad guy before Sauron and all that stuff.
It's like Star Wars. You don't need to know why we're here at times. You just need to know we're here.
Silmarillion is a great read because it works within the mythos, but it's just not something you talk about movies where they don't hold your attention. It's not. You could make it cinematic. I don't think you can do the Silmarillion justice in cinema form without losing what makes it so rich and fun. But again, like some of Tolkien's stuff, even some chapters in Lord of the Rings read like reference manuals. Really, really well written reference manuals. But
so like the Handbook for the Recently Deceased reads like stereo instructions?
Sure. But I think that I don't know that you have I feel like Silmarillion's always been very much a deep track for your Tolkien geeks. And I kind of like it though. I kind of like about the Lord of the Rings mythos is there's still so much in that. You talk about the mainstream takeover of geek culture, and certainly the normies getting their hands on Star Wars and stuff like that. I remember what I was in the middle of saying. We'll talk about before I got off on that is the people who are the cognitive dissonance people. Is you will still have to when Mando season 2 hits the fan, we're gonna have a million new factions. You already had that when Mando season 1 came out.
Yeah.
Of people who desperately wanted it to be good because of how bad the rest of Disney Star Wars was. People who already wrote it off and refused to accept it as good.
There were a lot of people in the Phantom Menace that did that shit.
That did that because they hated Disney Star Wars. And then the people people who maybe gave it their honest take, who really, really enjoyed it, who are not going to be open to season 2 being bad. So there are people who have already like picked their sides. There's the normies who are going to come in and say this was good because they said I'm supposed to like it. And then people are like, this is good because I need it to be good. I refuse to accept it being bad. Oh yeah, because I was telling you about how Jeremy liked Last Jedi the first 3 times he saw it.
Now I have a question. What
times to hate it?
What camp are you in?
Of Mandalorian?
Yeah.
I wanted it to be good, but not because I would say I was a hair in the I need this to be good camp, but I definitely took it very. You know how much I love talking about how I knew it was about a Mandalorian. Before
you got that scoop.
I got the scoop early, so I think
arguably the biggest scoop in the Phantom Menace that honestly,
right? Ever of all time?
Yeah, because you're like,
literally
this is what this show's about.
Before he came out and was like the Mandalorian, I was like, this show's about a Mandalorian. We watched that clip on air. It happened anyway. Toot my own horn again.
One thing I wanted to ask you real quick before we go into the Mandalorian, you're making a really excellent point. You're talking about ownership, personal ownership. And you're talking about Lord of the Rings being its own thing.
Yeah, you asked me a question. I was finishing the question.
Oh, good.
Just about how I tried to give it its fair shake.
Mm-hmm.
I want season 2 to be as much I want to like it as much as I like season 1. Ooh, there was another Mandalorian topic we didn't really dive into. Is it as good as we think it is, or is it just in the lens of Disney Star Wars? We'll talk about John 3PO. We'll talk about John 3PO tomorrow. Talk more. All right, come back tomorrow, guys, for more deeper discussion of the Mandalorian. To answer the question, we will kick off somewhere early in the show, probably with the question, or never. I don't know. Things get crazy. We'll try to address the question of objectively assessing the Mandalorian. We'll go through its episodes and stuff like that. So we'll dive into it more tomorrow. Because you're also talking about Boba Fett on the
the High Council, as well as other things. Mm-hmm. This Leslie Headland story, though, is really just nothing at this point. There's nothing to go on about it. I was tired the first video I made.
So I don't know.
No, but I want to ask you this question about this personal ownership. Is there a film that you enjoy because it's not overtly mainstream, or it's kind of not even about overtly mainstream? Let me rephrase that. There's just something that you love that it's done. There's nothing to mind from it. It's just, it feels complete and you like it and it feels more.
Well, that's why I brought up Firefly season 1. It feels that, or Firefly, no, only season of Fireflies, because it feels that way to me. Another one is Gladiator. They were trying to make a prequel shortly after the success of the first one, and I would have liked to see that, but it never went through. There was talk of sequels here and there, and I'm glad it's a standalone film. It's one film. It was a great movie. It won awards, all that stuff. And that's something I like a lot about Ridley Scott, with the exception of Alien, which, he had varying levels of influence in the later ones. He's very much a one-off filmmaker. He doesn't invest in these series, or he doesn't cash in on and that's why I respect him a lot as a filmmaker. Is he's had some really serious misses in his career. That's, I'm not gonna argue in favor of that. In particular, one of his big misses was Prometheus, which was trying to build in the same universe.
I think a lot of people need with Alien.
Yeah,
Ridley Scott should have never come back, because as much as I respect his work overall, once James Cameron came in with Aliens, so much of that lore became what it's Aliens is what people are looking for. They're wanting that high again.
I think that's
it's Aliens. It's always now it's the militaristic aspect. It's the Predator. Look at Ridley Scott. Alien is a one-off that introduced the Xenomorph and Ellen Ripley. It's a great movie. I'm not knocking it, but what I'm saying is though it's changed its identity, and you should never if I was a Fox, I guess, that owned it, I would never try to recapture the Ridley Scott shit. I would go for war, because the thing is they had this great thing with the James Cameron one, and then they went back to this dumb one alien on the fucking wooden planet or whatever was supposed to be the prison planet. Then you get Alien Resurrection where it's cloning. Like, they fucked up. It should have just been more war. It should have been Starship Troopers with Xenomorphs, and it would have been awesome, because you can write
the formula. The formula was good. The Marines were fun. You had a good character, and you were able to reuse a lot of the Ripley tropes, and Aliens, I think, did a nice job that they followed too far again with her being actually keep her around. I think they followed that thread too far of her being this maternal figure, follow that one straight down a fucking rabbit hole.
It was great too, but I think where they fucked up was by killing Newton Hicks in the beginning of 3. You cut off that connection. I think you should have had Newt Hicks and Ripley in another situation. Because
you found another group that you found another dynamic that worked, and you didn't kill them all off this time. So play with what you got.
I really wish they wouldn't have killed off Lance Henriksen's character, the android, because he was so cool. Plus, you didn't know it was an android.
That was one of the things I love. Well, that's always that there's a lot of.
She did right away because she didn't trust him, because Ash was the one.
Ash is I think the only one where you didn't know. That's one of the tropes I've enjoyed that they bring back, is the android of questionable motives, the android of pure, not human based motives, who sometimes turns out to do the right thing and sometimes turns out to be the bad guy. And that's something they actually did well in Prometheus. And Michael Fassbender did a great job in that role.
David.
And he had this beautifully ambiguousness to him, because he didn't really go one way or the other until I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, but he was very. Didn't they set him up where you were really unsettled by him and thought he was probably going to go dark side, but he ended up being a good guy or something like that?
I think the marketing though really set that up, because the whole movie lived and died by it's Ridley Scott Alien again. And like I said a moment ago, people wanted James Cameron's Aliens.
Yeah, I do like Ridley Scott's Alien a lot. I know you don't have his favorable opinion on the first movie, but I really.
The thing is, it's a really good movie, and it sets up
a well-made movie.
It's a well-made movie. With that said, though, I think if you take the 1977 cut of Star Wars versus the 1979 cut of Alien, I think if we just talk on stuff that doesn't hold up as well as from a visual presentation, I think Alien doesn't hold up as well as Star Wars. If you just take strictly the year they came out, I think there's a lot of Alien shots and a lot of effects and things that don't really hold up.
I don't know if I agree with that for Alien. I really don't, because you don't see a lot of full body xenomorph at all in that film. And I think that was done intentionally. You get a lot more of that.
Have you seen the test footage? There's stuff they shot of the movie where he's doing a crab walk.
Yeah, I've seen some of that stuff. It does not look. That didn't make that didn't make the cut.
I'm not taking it, but I'm talking like this. The ending looks really bad when you watch it now.
When he gets sucked out and stuff like that.
And the explosion and just I don't know. It's like, to me, it's like watching another late 70s.
The explosion never bothered me. I don't think the explosion bothered me that much. But really, you don't get a lot of full bodies. I think I agree that it looks a little hokey as a puppet at the end shot, when it's sucked out and whatnot. But for the most part, I thought they did a good job of only Beth says we is off track. Yeah, we're supposed to be done. We
should finish this. Yeah.
But for me, a lot of it holds up, and a lot of the choice. I mean, just some of the things that work so well. I get anxiety every fucking time Dallas crawls into that fucking tunnel, into the shaft to go hunt. Oh my god!
So just Alien's a movie that. It falls into it's just a sci-fi movie, like a Blade Runner and stuff like that. It's just a sci-fi movie. It's good, but it's a sci-fi movie. To me, that's why I think why I've glommed onto Star Wars so much, because it's it's science fiction and fantasy, and
That's
it's a
fair.
bigger world, it's a bigger picture. And I like claustrophobic films. I
That's
just
fair.
don't love Alien.
That's one for me, and this is something where like because of how early I started really studying, looking at film as a study as well as just a form of enjoyment, that's one for me where like it's cultural context and like it's birthing or mainstreaming of a genre, because of the alien, the alien as a monster. Like, is it really okay? Not only birthing a genre, it took the monster genre and made it in space with aliens. It was really.
Well, I mean, what about Howard Hawks' Thing from Another World, though? The thing
that's things until Alien. That's so the point is of that until Alien, that it didn't invent the genre. It was the first time where it was scared, I think. Because I think even with some of the older ones, they were all that stuff like.
Think about what was made though between then and how everything else changed the definition of what scary was.
Yes, that's fair.
Like it's essentially Texas Chainsaw Massacre in outer space.
But that's what I think, is I think it's the first movie that delivered on because a lot of creature movies, there were some creature movies that were scary when they came out, but those effects, were very tired very quickly. You were at a point where monster movies weren't scary anymore because the creature effects hadn't caught up to the demands of the time,
They also did stop making them though too.
Yeah, they weren't being made because part of that was that the tropes were done, the monsters weren't scary, and all this. So this revitalized the monster movie in that sense because you were able to build something new, working with an alien with this otherworldliness, and then really doing a good job showing the scary parts. Showing, oh God, I'm this far away and there's all these things trying to get me. Showing the double mouth and all that shit. All the and it's lethality too. And I think it's just an easy setup. We're in a box. We can't get away. That's always an easy way to build suspense and what. So I think it brought elements of sci-fi, elements of monster movies, elements of horror, and was able to put those all together in a way that really invented in its own way like a new type of film. And since then, how many bad alien and space movies have there been?
Well, I mean, and how many good ones though too?
I mean, evil alien space, not bad as poorly made, but I mean, how many? How much do we cash in this
here's
trope?
The thing, though.
Let's go fight the alien.
Alien might have been the beginning
creature on the ship
of the changing tide, though, because we also had The Thing come out in '82.
Yeah.
But then we also had E.T., which brought back the benevolent alien, which really colored the alien genre. Because by 1986, when Aliens came out, the alien there was no there's horror elements to it, and there are moments that are scary. But I think the genre that you're talking about came and went rather quickly because you had the commercialization of E.T. in 1982, and it carried over.
The movie Life came out just a few years ago.
Yeah, but Life is
literally just an alien remake.
Agreed, and I liked the ending. I thought the ending of Life was awesome.
But there've been Crossbreed came out last year. It's an independent film, but it's the same kind of thing. It's that clearly, and you can feel it. You can feel even in the '82 thing, right? You can feel the influence of the alien style, the pacing of it, right? The way it's paced and the way it's shot in certain cases reminds me a lot.
To some degree, I will give you that, but I mean, you got to understand
the story
it's another
before.
thing.
I understand.
So I don't know how much I can give.
I'm not giving the creature because I don't think the creatures are that similar.
Oh God, not at all.
Or the way they operate. I just mean the pacing of it, the way they built suspense.
There has never been anything to operate like The Thing.
No, I think
and you'll never get that again. And you should never get that again. And you have effects from 40 years ago that look better than the most realistic CGI today.
I think Supernatural has done a nice job on a couple times. Not really one time. They do it again, though, on that type of fear that we don't know who the bad guy is type of fear. Or even just some of that, not even when they do their episodes wholly around it, because we've watched when it's clearly inspired by it, but where they'll take it like with, we got
that was one of the better episodes.
It's a good episode.
I also think that comes down to filmmaker.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about the tension in that genre.
Yeah.
I think you got a guy like John Carpenter who's built an entire career around suspense.
Yeah.
I'm not putting him in the same category as Alfred Hitchcock, but I'm also not taking him out of that category because people like to forget about him his contributions to filmmaking.
Sure.
But John Carpenter really revolutionized the modern slasher.
Yeah. But the whole thing is at what point do you get a certain amount of credit for taking things that other people invented, putting them together and making something new out of it?
Well, George Lucas is the prime example
because
Star Wars is just an amalgamation of different things, and it works. But I think Ridley Scott is so much more than just Alien.
I did forget to read this one out loud, I think, because I read it and I saw you tag it, but I don't think I read this one out loud. It just popped into my head. And I realized I forgot to read a super chat earlier. It was from Headcase Laboratory way long ago. I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's fine.
Missed the
This is
super
important.
chat.
I'm not mad at all.
Headcase Laboratory way long. I hope you're still here, Headcase Laboratory. I did not mean to skip over your super chat, but it reads, "Love Boba. P.S. I tag you with my
Thing
comment."
is, I noticed that one because I instantly followed him on Instagram, or not Instagram, on social media. So while you didn't read it, I did acknowledge it right away. So
I did because I noticed you, and I think that's why I ended up skipping it because I saw you acknowledging it. And I was going to go do the same, and then I got lost on Twitter. So Headcase, with Headcase Laboratory. Thank you for sending a super chat, and another one, which I did read. And we are gonna thank you for tagging us.
I just think he tagged me only.
Just you?
Yeah, because I got
thanks for tagging
Google Drop link and everything.
And okay, well, thanks for sending that Jeff's way. He'll check it out for sure.
Yeah.
I know Mad Libs, Beth. I'm getting the Mad Libs, but I do think that there's a lot of credit to Ridley Scott.
This looks really cool. Otaku Daddy.
Nice.
I'll read the whole thing off there. I don't want to not give it my attention. It looks really good.
Well, let me read it when you're done.
We can read it together.
Sure thing. But yeah, table all this, more on movies, more on everything. And don't forget to come back tomorrow night after the High Council. Drunk 3PO is going to be joining us for the second time on Mindless Entertainment, maybe. First time in a long time for sure.
Never with me, because I've only talked to him once on the High Council. He's a great dude.
But
so.
yeah, we're looking forward to having him on tomorrow night. But tonight we're tabling this, so save any questions you have, any further discussion points about Boba Fett, The Mandalorian, Disney, Star Wars, cinema in general.
Dinner,
right?
There's no way we're gonna be able to cook.
I was thinking about that when I went to the bathroom. I was like, I don't want to.
Honestly, if we try to make a baked potato now, it's midnight. We'll hit dinner.
Oh right, you were going to do that in between.
And we don't have the stuff to cook our other potatoes. We're out of olive oil.
Oh, we are olive oil.
Grocery store's closed.
Hot sauce. Oh well.
We're getting something.
We're ordering. We're ordering out tonight. Whoops.
Let's finish this and order out so we can.
All right.
'Cause I got to get up at 6 a.m. to make a wire transfer.
Fuck,
How awesome is that, folks?
You're coming back to bed.
I'm dealing with it. What?
I decree you're coming back to bed. We definitely have a reasonable hour tomorrow because I got some videos to make for Patreon. I've got to. All right, Beth, we're reading it. We're going to get this for you. I am going to put up a rant. Ben Riley, I don't see him here tonight, but he was sending some great super chats on Thursday that were fostering an awesome discussion with me and Mary, and I am going to make a video on that topic. So look for that tomorrow, hopefully. If you're on Patreon, you're getting another Social Justice Wednesday coming out this Wednesday. You'll get another 3 or 4 videos. If you're at the $2 tier, another video at least at the $1 tier. Some more fun stuff at the higher tiers.
And I get to hear all this stuff first, and I'm over here working on stuff and laughing. So
if you're not on Patreon, you're missing out on, Social Justice Wednesdays. You're missing out on what the Sioux people are up to, which sometimes gets a spot or not because I'm not really seeing a lot of people, but I might have.
Was Free Willy a sequel to Orca Killer Whale? Yes, Bo Derek got her leg bitten off.
But you know what, Nerve Clacks? That's another one I didn't need sequels of. Free Willy was perfect on its own.
Was it even perfect?
It was great. It was a phenomenal film. Shut up. It's a great movie.
I had it on tape as a kid. I didn't like that movie. Why did every fucking kid in those movies
so
look like
many
Elliot
laws
from
are broken at the end of that movie. That's one of the fun things. Watch the end of that movie. If you ever just have bored, watch the climax to Free Willy and just count the number of laws they break. It's hilarious.
The only one I'm willing to watch again would be Angels in the Outfield.
I love
It's
that
such
one.
a good time.
All right, Beth.
All right, Indiana Jones time.
Not skip it? Your favorite? All right, Beth.
Now I got that stupid music stuck in my head.
So everything I ever needed to know, I learned from Indiana Jones. X never marks the wet wiener, except when it does. Good job, X and your wet wiener.
It's not wet right now.
Never trust anyone who likes to dick in his or her sleep. That's just a weird thing to do.
Sorry, sometimes.
Whoops. You can lose your beer, but always keep your hat on your heart cavity. Just weird advice.
Anyway, keep going.
The pen is mightier than the cracker.
Yes, it is.
Always help out a jizz in need.
So Star Wars music?
Archaeology is the search for fact, not deep-fried butthole rings. That's good life advice right there. Always learn the language of the country you're dying in. When someone offers you a plate of leprechauns, always eat it. No matter what, always keep your unicorn glitter farts close and your gilded dildos close.
Yes! It's like the box art to The Little Mermaid.
Oh, God. Did you have one of those?
What?
The original?
I've never seen the whole movie. I've never owned it.
When next time you're in Philly, we'll pull it out just so I can show you the penis.
Oh, my cousin Elizabeth has it.
Oh, you've seen the
I hate that. Like, the thing is, I would go over their house and I wanted to watch Power Rangers or Nickelodeon, and they wanted to watch Little Mermaid and all this other
fuck
crap.
this noise! I'm a man.
I'm a boy. I want to watch or Inspector Gadget.
Tomorrow night, you can rest assured we're going to do another Mad Libs with Drunk 3PO. We're also going to get him on our Mad Libs After Dark
Saving that for tomorrow. We're doing one now.
We'll save it for tomorrow.
Cool.
Speaking of After Dark, I am trying to orchestrate a Midnight's Edge takeover of this channel. So anybody, any fan of Menace people or otherwise, anyone in the world you'd love to see on this channel, make sure Ireland is offended. Good, delicious
Can we
leprechauns.
get Jackie Chan on the channel?
Yes. Let me know because I will always do my best to get them. I'm not as big or important as my lovely Jeff here of World Class Bullshitters.
It's the big part is accurate. I mean, look at the size difference. It's true. Important though.
But thank you for joining us. Thank you for pressing the like button. We had a great stream tonight. Went on way longer than I thought we were going to.
And you know what? Every minute was joyous. I actually really liked both
I had a great
debates.
stream. I loved getting to do this with you. So Mondays, tentatively, obviously, sometimes depending on guest schedules, it is what it is. But Mondays, I've kind of set aside as our mindless bullshit night, where it'll just be me and Jeff on the channel, kicking off the week right. Just debating stuff. If there's topics you want to see us debate, we're having. I think the very first mindless bullshit debate we ever had was. It was Empire versus
A New Hope, and you picked Empire.
No,
right?
Empire versus Last Jedi or
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi.
Because we both acknowledge that A New Hope is superior.
I picked Return of the Jedi because I wanted the uphill battle. But yeah, we'll pick if you have a topic you want to see us debate. As long as we know stuff about it, we'll play devil's advocate. We don't have to believe in it. We'll still have a fun, lively argument. And it'll be good. It'll be good.
Well, Matthew, there's going to be a 4K release of Indiana Jones, and apparently everyone's getting a new remaster. So those problems you have with Raiders should be rectified.
Huzzah! Hopefully. Alrighty. So yeah, cheers to everybody. Oh, I should get the Corona Kiss ready so we can finish this stream. Right. We do. And good night.
Super chat, hurry!
Super chat. The Price is Right review says, "I want you and John Burke to rageful debate. You missed my other $5 chat. No, where is it? Oh, it came in right before while we were talking about this too. I'm gonna make the Corona. It's a long song. It's got plenty of time for me to read
I
this.
get to hear the best part at the end.
Oh wait, John Burke's that guy who does those rage things that people compare me to him sometimes. I think is he the dude in the cowboy hat? Price is Right review.
I want to see you go against Razor Fist on a topic. That'd be a fun debate.
And Price is Right review. Sorry for missing that earlier chat. We got it now though. One of my tweets way back when I mentioned Henry Cavill's. Oh, I remember reading this and just not getting it. I'm so sorry. When I mentioned Henry Cavill's performance in The Witcher, I was impressed, and he said would make a perfect Darth Bane.
Is he the bald one?
Darth Bane?
Yeah.
I don't know. But we still need to watch The Witcher, though. So thanks for that reminder to do that. And that's something we'll take under advisement when we watch it.
Oh, yeah. I like Henry Cavill. I think Henry Cavill needs to play a bigger part in everything.
Henry Cavill's fun. I'm excited to see what he does. He's one of those actors where it's like
the next
I want to
Bond.
know what more he's doing with his career. So I could see him as a James Bond.
He's
easily.
my number one choice.
So
don't even restart it. Just turn it
I
up.
was going to turn it up. Yeah. So now that you've heard Further and Corona Kiss, we left it on I think all the way before. Hey, Rookie Critic, you got us just at the end. We're just phasing out. We caught up some super chats. We finished our Indiana Jones Mad Libs. We'll be back tomorrow night, rocking in force with Drunk 3PO. Can't wait. I got to make a special thumbnail.
Don't miss me on the High Council, folks, and I should have a video out Wednesday.
Yeah.
And I got a big announcement to make tomorrow night.
So be there. Press that motherfucking like button, just like the Rookie Critic says. And to all, a good night.